Hello, chat. Good evening. Wow. Hold on. Hello. Hello. Wow. Okay. Jeez, I can hear him. It's really loud in my ears tonight. Yes, he's gay. He's a cop. He's both. Thank you guys all for being here. Thank you all for being here. Yes, we are on to the Sanction Menace, the July crisis, as you would for Russell Greer. We're going to talk about that tonight. And also, speaking, I got a little news and a little bit of something we're going to toss in here to kind of get things going. We have an update in the Acerthorn Stebbins lawsuit versus the farm. So we've got some happenings there as well, chat, that we're going to get into. And it's not as interesting, but it is a thing. It is a thing there. So we'll get to that. Ashley says, for all those who pray, my family lost an amazing woman today. Please pray for her husband and daughters. Well, I'm sorry for your loss. Whoever, it sounds like that person meant a lot to you, and sometimes that's the, that is usually, while you have great sorrow, that means you had great love for that person, and that person probably had great love for you. So I guess in a way, at times, it's a good thing to have that sorrow, because it means you have people in your life worth caring about. So sorry about your loss, Ashley. And yes, if you guys do pray, please say a prayer for her. Who's this penny lawyer versus legal genius? That is Russell. Yes. Pay up, Russell. Yes. Access, hello, fat man in chat. Well, I thought you were driving, dude. Chugi Show says, happy birthday, fat man. Well, thank you. And yeah, guys, we're going to get into this. So hello, welcome to the show, guys. Sean knows potentially criminal. I'm an attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area. And tonight, we're going to get into the Russell Greer and the other lolcow lawsuit facing the farms right now. But real quick, because it's we're coming on the birthday season here, I guess we'll do this. We'll do this now. Hey, babe, is this a good one to open? Can you see on screen? Okay. All right. You what? I'm just gonna open it. So, all right, let's see what this is. Is this for pets? Is this what I think it is? The Donald Trump hat and tie for Clyde. Well, if he pardons Maxwell, we're not doing that. But if he pardons Maxwell, the fucking Trump's coming down. I'll tell you that much. But thank you, babe. This is pretty cool. I like it. He's not gonna let me put it on, I don't think. Come here, Clyde. Come here, Bubber. Clyde, come on, bud. Hold on here. He'll think this is food. Clyde. Come here, bud. Come on. He's like, fuck you. He's like, 2.0's got treats, fat man. So he's being a little turd monster, but that's okay. He's allowed to be one. What do you think the chances are for him pardoning Maxwell? Above 0, and that's way too fucking much. That's a scary part. More than 0. He knows you want to dress him up. I don't think he does. Oh, hold on, Chad. Here we go. He's like, save me for the crazy woman.
Does he have his peen in his mouth still?
What? Yes, he's still got his peen holder. So, guy. Yeah. All right, Clyde. Here, sniff it. It's not a monster. So I'm going to put this on your head. No, 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 no. You're going to let me do this. No. Clyde, don't fight it. Don't fight it, Clyde. Just let it happen. There we go. There we go, chat. China. China. They're eating all the cats and dogs. They have to go back. They have to go back. I can't. He's like, leave me alone, fat man. All right, buddy. I am holding him. Will you help me? I need some help. Hold on, chat. We're going to have to. Here we go. Hold on, chat.
Where is it?
Right here. We're still live, by the way, just so you know. So if you want to start dropping N-bombs, tell me to mute. So.
This would be a great outfit. Clyde, you could be.
You could go to court with me.
You could be a sandwich artist in this.
Yes.
Stack some. Ooh. Oof. You
Little-
got a fat neck, dude. Fat neck puppers.
Wow, he let you do that. He was fighting me. Uh-oh.
That's because he likes me better.
Well, it's because he's like, it's in his DNA to let white women put goofy shit on him.
Okay, hang on, buddy.
It's okay, Bubber.
There we go. Look at how cute.
Okay, we're going to go back. Here he is, chat. Head of the Republican Party.
He's a good boy.
Head of the Republican Party. He's like, kill me now, Jesus.
That is like ridiculous. Look, you need to come over, buddy.
Yeah.
You need to come over.
Oh, are you going to take? Oh,
No,
oh.
you need to let chat see him.
Yes.
And his
Oh, he's so
beautiful
cute.
tie. He's a good boy.
Yes.
Oh.
Well, his ears are going down. You're leaving. Are you okay, Clyde? All right. He's like, I'd rather have the Haitians come get me. Oh, his hair's coming down over his face. See, I help you, Bubba. See, I help. All right. Real quick chat. Lamo. Oh. Is saying for $10. Well, I'd like to see this Donnie Trump wriggle his way out of this jam. And Trump wriggles his way out of the jam easily. Well, nevertheless. Yeah, I don't know about these ones, guys. I don't know about this. Some of this shit is kind of like, I don't know. What you think, buddy? Huh? He's like, he looks mad. I'm gonna set you down and let you go be mad at 2.0. Okay, Papa? Real chat, can we just get an woo out of him? He won't give us one, so. There we go. We got you in a woo, Clyde. Here you go, Bubba. Such a good boy. Ooh, who texted me? Oh. I think he's bringing it all to you. So, yes, I mean, Trump can do all that, but it's just, I don't know. Maybe he can. Like I said, there's always the theory he's gonna do a press conference and he's gonna be like, today I told JSOC to go after everybody. I gave them a list. I gave them a kill list. So all of DevGru and all of Delta, all the Saber squadrons, they're all clear. They're all making their list and checking it twice. God bless America. Like, I'd be like, okay, I can live with that. But I don't think that's gonna happen. So. Just saying, if that was going to happen, I'd be all for it. So there we go. Sika Loader for $5 Singaporean says, if I'm running a website and get subpoenaed for data, should I engage a lawyer to fight that subpoena? What happens if I ignore it like Gabe and Keanu? Ignoring subpoenas is never the best option. If, they're easy enough, you can find them. We were talking about Gino and Keanu. Technically, Gino and Keanu were never served. So they haven't ignored anything. The prosecutor declined to send them out. So they've never been served officially. So it's a bit of a difference there. Roosevelt Media says it's a Q-tard fantasy. What? That there's going to be some major op in the middle of the night where it's like that apartment raid in Modern Warfare and everybody just goes puts their panos down and charges up some Sig Rattlers and they just start going to work. I mean, yeah, it's a fantasy, but let me have my fantasy. Let me have my fantasy. Your pug is grilling Clyde. Oh. Well, thank you guys. We're going to get started here. Whiskey77 says for $10. Sorry your B-Day gift is late, but it's taken a bit of work to get your gift from the rainforest to the States. Some nonsense about arachnids in the USDA. No worries, though. It's en route. Well, oh God. Anyways, guys, Assholes React. You can find them at A-Holes React here on YouTube. Whiskey77 and 3 Beers. They do their show at 9 Eastern on Sundays. This spider shit is getting out of hand, chat. How cool would it be if we woke up and the news had it as happening? I mean, sure. So, Lamo is saying for 7 months. Thank you for being here, Lamo. The files are a Q-tard fantasy to begin with. Yeah, but I want to see what's in the goddamn files. They should be released. Going through all of that and saying, oh, there's nothing here. No, fuck you. I want them. Let me see that there's nothing in them. I don't trust Pam Bondi. I don't trust Cash Patel. I don't trust Dan Bongino. I don't trust any of those fuckers. So, Unhung Hero for $2 says, happy birthday, Shine. Yes, thank you. It's not my birthday yet. Yes, trust no bish. That's true. What's scarier, smooth leg spiders or hairy ones? All spiders. All spiders, because they can all go to hell. So. Eric said, no Rumble stream, not tonight. Not tonight. I forgot to set up a Twitter one, too. Sorry. So, no, you just got to suffer. How long until we get WikiLeaks 2.0? No. Assange ain't get back in the game, but anybody in the now tries WikiLeaks, you're going to get fucking drone striked. And I'm not talking about by a predator. I'm talking about you're going to get FPV droned where it's going to be completely untraceable. So you're going to be running away from an FPV drone. Just it's got a fucking RPG warhead strapped to it. Never. Yeah, no. Be careful if you're doing that WikiLeaks shit. So you'll get a rod from God. Yeah, well, am I echoing? Hold on. Echo. Echo cancellation's on. I don't know. How about feel about snakes? Snakes are fine. I don't mind snakes. Snakes aren't scary. I mean, they're no scary. In northern Ohio, there aren't scary snakes anyway, so that helps a lot. And then there's that one movie. Fuck, where is it? Where it's the guy got bit. They're interrogating a dude, and he gets bit by a snake, and the dude picks it up. He's like, "Is this a coral snake or a milk snake? I forget." And he gives the guy this thing full of he's like, "Here's an antidote." And the guy injects himself. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, that was coral snake venom." And the guy kills him. He dies. What movie is that? What movie is that from? Oh, that's the movie with the stealth fighters in it. God, what's that shitty movie called? God, now I'm gonna sound like a fucking weirdo, but it's this movie. I remember it now because these guys, they're on a C5 Galaxy, and somehow they've got 2 F-117s on it, and these guys are gonna steal them. They sneak on the plane. They're gonna steal them. No, not Steven Seagal. They're going to steal them. And they steal one. And finally, there's only one bad guy left. And one of the good guys is one of the F-117 pilots. And like they have like, it's no, it's not Navy SEALs. Not Broken Arrow. No. Shitty 90s movie. Hold on here. What is a movie? Interceptor. That's the name of the movie. Interceptor. It's like Die Hard. Yeah, it's basically Die Hard on an airplane. No, it's not Stealth. Interceptor, 1992. It's a good movie. You should watch it. Iron Eagle is the first Iron Eagle is a phenomenal movie. Iron Eagle's an amazing. Most of the Iron Eagle series is really good. Until they do the whole like the Russians are flying F-4 Phantoms because they can't. They don't have Soviet airplanes to use, so they have to use F-4s. Although it's the smoke trails they leave would be appropriate for a Russian airplane at the time. So, yeah, Interceptor, yeah. So the Philadelphia Experiment, and I've seen that movie, but besides, that was a big that thing. I think that thing actually happened. Of like conspiracy theories, so Die Hard on a Plane sounds terrible. Yeah, I mean it's kind of terrible, but when you're like 10 years old, you're like it's the coolest thing ever because you like people get their throats slit and all kinds of crazy shit. So, oh, real quick, Jesus Christ, chat. Unknown Hero for 10 subs. Crystal for 10 subs. And Whiskey 77 for 20 subs. Let's fucking go, chat. And that's what you do when you donate subs. You are crushing the Grays out. EDW Raptor says, was 2.0 caught up in the T hack? No. And if you guys don't know what T is, the T is an app where a bunch of like, women who were delusional about the men they wanted in their life would go talk shit about the guys they were dating. And a lot of these women were so retarded, they you had to upload photo IDs. Some of these morons were dumb enough using like, especially the ones in DC, using their State Department and government issue IDs and DOD IDs. Oh, and there's all kinds of fucking data that's out there now. So all them bitches did not think ahead. And then Emily Allen's been a member once. Thank you, Emily. Says, hi, Sean. Happy birthday. Remember, my birthday's not till the 10th, chat. All right, let's get going here. The Montauk Project. Well, that's a whole nother thing there. Stealth is underrated. That's an awful fucking movie. Passenger 57 is good. Always been on black. So that's a good movie. All right, chat. So we are going to update on the Russell Greer case. There's a couple things there for us to take a look at. And I think it's worth getting into where we had stopped in the Russell Greer saga was the status report and some things that had been filed. And Russell Greer had filed his status report, and oh my God, I think we'll just kind of start at that point because I do think it's very funny, and we'll I think it's very important to Russell's response to the status report filed by Matthew Hart, and we're gonna backtrack a little bit, and it's like I will remember you. It's just going down memory lane here, and this is Russell going nuh-uh. Oh, why is this not doing it right? Hold on. So here we go. This is where we left off. And this is around the time frame we quit. We quit a little bit later in the month, but as things were winding down, Russell Greer was starting to lose his shit and things were starting to fall apart for him. Oh, I got a tampon load for Russell for a minute because he's gonna cry. Oh no. His address was pleasant. There, Russell. There. I fixed it, Russell. I fixed it for you. So why won't Russell pay? Because he's broke. He's broke. He's broke. You love the Candace Owens thing. We're gonna work on that a little more tomorrow. Because there's so much to it. So, anyways, this is Russell Greer's response to the stash report saying that Russell hasn't done anything and all he's done has been a whiny little bitch. So, and this is where Russell talks about he can't afford the documents, nothing's available. He needs $67 to get copies of the restraining order that he filed against Josh Moon that he never served. And for the man who's got thousands of dollars, he wants the cost, the $67, to come from the farms. He's also complaining that they never gave him an electronic payment option, which isn't true. They have before repeatedly. And they say that Russell's only going to feel comfortable electronic payments if he knew for sure that the Kiwi Farms will not have access to his banking details. Also, he believes that Matthew Hardin is now engaged in stalking. By claiming that he's committed fraud and says that he has restraining orders. So, and because of all of this, Greer decided not to mail a check by the June 9th deadline because he didn't feel it's ethical or within the bounds of justice for things. So instead of coming to the court and asking for a remedy, now here's the thing. If you thought that you wanted to punish the other side, Russell Greer could have asked the court for sanctions and said, Your Honor, in the meantime, we'd ask the sanction be, I don't have to pay. But instead of that, Russell did his own self-help, and that is not what you do in a lawsuit. Anyways, this was all sent by Russell Greer. By Russell Greer. Now, we're going to fast forward a little further. We are now to June 30th, and this is where we kind of left off. This is about where we left off before, chat. And we're trying to, like I said, we're trying to catch up here. So, actually, hold on here. Did I? Actually, no, I think I didn't do this one. And if we did this one, I forget. And we're just going to go back through it because it deserves to be done. And this is Russell Greer's response to the sanctions motions. That were filed against him. Because he does have the right to respond. And, this is like one of the smarter things he does is respond to stuff sometimes. I'm still surprised he hasn't tried to copy strike me or get me for bullying yet at this point. Because I know he watches because he used to do it all the time. So anyways, this is his response to the sanctions that were being filed. And this is his response saying, nuh-uh. So this is where he talks about on June 10th, Matthew Hardin filed the motion for sanctions. He opposes them because Hardin and the farms have disregarded the ethics of the law and has lashed onto the May 3rd motion for continuance. And remember, this is Russell Greer's motion for continuance so he could go to a city council meeting and beg to have permission to set up a whorehouse. Remember, that's why he didn't show up to court. He didn't show up to court so he could go set up a whorehouse. That is why Russell Greer wasn't able to be at the court hearing. Because he had to set up for a city council meeting to go put up a whorehouse that nobody agreed to and the city didn't want. And they say that in their bizarre mission to prove some kind of point, Hardin has criminally stalked the plaintiff. I'm surprised that Patrick Tomlinson doesn't come parachuting. That's another lawsuit we need to get back on top of. Patrick Tomlinson's lawsuit. You know, another stalker child, chat. Another stalker child that's going to enjoy prison. Matthew Hart is going to enjoy prison like a good little stalker child. Now, Russell Greer claims it was all a goof up. He's like, that's all it was. You know, he remembered the hearing was on May 6th. And he wrote in his motion that he'd rather not say what the meaning was because the farms would stalk every facet of his life. So he didn't want to tell anybody. He didn't have to admit he was trying to get a whorehouse done. So this was there. He's like, it wasn't fair. He's being criminally stalked. They talked to the realtor that he was dealing with. Destroyed Greer's friendship and relationship with this realtor. And remember, when you have a relationship with Russell Greer, he doesn't talk to you in 4 years, and you have to hope you don't die. But this is Russell's Greer's crying. He says, if there's any sanctions to be issued, it should be against you, the defendants, for dragging this case through the mud. And they dragged up Russell's personal affairs. And they said nowhere in any of their motions do they choose to defend a claim against it for copyright infringement. We just want them scathing them out. Well, yes, it is, Russell. And they've already said, no, this is bullshit. So they have already defended it. So Russell Greer said this on 24th. He's like, man, that's fine. Now, remember, he had until the end of the month to pay He had until the end of the month to pay. He had until the end of the month to pay. And he didn't do it. Remember, that was the big thing he had to do here. He had not paid the sanctions, which were due months ago. And he had till the end of the month to get it done. The end of June. Well, at the end of June, there was a quick response for a motion to dismiss here, and ultimately, this is the motion to dismiss regarding Russell's amended complaint, where he adds in, most of Jartelli and Rustard as other infringing parties, chat. And Russell added this in. This was filed on the 30th by Hart and the gang. And this was the thing they were asking for more and more time because Russell kept on causing problems. He kept on doing things that made them want to embiggen and enlarge the time frame to respond. So what do they get to here? Well, they start talking about Russell's complaint. Remember, this is his amended complaint. And they say Greer even acknowledges that new claims may be the subject of a new motion to dismiss. Greer's allegation that they've violated Rule 12H are meritless. And ultimately, guys, Russell's problem is he adds in more and more people now. And what he's alleging that has been violated is Rule 12H. And we'll bring that up here real quick. Well, hold on. Did I pass it? Yes. Rule 12H talks about when defenses are waived. So you can waive defenses. And remember, at the beginning, Scortus didn't raise a bunch of defenses. So those were waived. When you file an answer, that's it. Instead, if you're going to file a motion to dismiss under Rule 12, you have to do that first. And they didn't do it. So if you don't make the motion under the rule or include it in a responsive pleading or in an amendment. So if you don't do that, it's waived. You can waive these defenses. And remember, the defenses are the big ones: lack of subject matter jurisdiction, lack of personal jurisdiction, venue, process, failure to state a claim, failure to join parties. Russell didn't do, those are stuff that could have been attacked. But Scortus didn't go down that road. And yes, now there's the issue, is Hart and barred from going down that road? Well, if there's new claims, he has the right to go forward on new claims. But Matt Harden says, and this is the argument you would make too anyway. Even if the court agreed with Russell, the court could construe the motion and dismiss as a motion for summary judgment or as a motion on the pleadings. Now, what does that mean? Well, remember, chat, you can go from the beginning and say they state a claim upon which relief can't be granted. If you're at Rule 12 and then you start introducing your own evidence as a party, as a defendant, typically, you start introducing evidence. We're now getting to motions on the pleadings. You now have gone to summary judgment. And summary judgment is a motion on the pleadings where the judge takes a look, he reads through everything, and he decides right then and there who's right, who's wrong, who wins, who loses. And summary judgment is very dangerous because you might lose, and that's it. Or you might win. And if you win on summary judgment, yay. But if you lose on summary judgment, that's not good. That's really, really bad. But I think in this case, yes, it's a very, very safe, very safe option for them in this case. So Crystal says, is it not more expensive to sue someone than to be sued? Well, it's more expensive because when you're suing somebody, you're the plaintiff, you have to do a lot more work. The defense can respond typically. This is different though because Russell's such a fucking idiot. Normal cases where you have two attorneys on the sides, yes, the plaintiffs are generally the one who are doing more work. So they say in the alternative, Russell offers no reason why his pleaded facts establish jurisdiction and venue in Utah. Now, they say the Rule 12H doesn't bar a motion to dismiss, and it's true. And what do they do here? Well, they added a redlined. Matthew Hart went ahead and added as an exhibit a redlined version of the complaint from Russell Greer. And this is where, you hide your metadata so people can't do this. And anyways, this is the entire thing. This is the entire thing Russell did. And obviously parts have been redlined, parts have been added. You can tell the parts that are added are underlined. The parts that aren't, you're moving things, adding things. So it's clearly not a cookie cutter thing. It's not clearly a cookie cutter thing. Significant portions have been removed. Significant portions have been removed and changed. The red ink demonstrates entire pages of material have been stricken and added. Greer adds arguments to the market for his material. He dropped arguments he's entitled to an injunction. He modified arguments about why the farms and Josh have availed themselves to Utah and introduced a new claim that Moon may have fled the country. And then, Russell helpfully admits at his first complaint that he files lawsuits as a publicity stunt. And yes, he does. He does say that. He does say that. Like a tardo, like Ricky Retardo, Russell admits to doing this. As he says here in his amended complaint, like a dumb shit. Like a dumb shit. He had filed against Taylor Swift as a publicity stunt. The lawsuit Greer had filed against Taylor Swift as a publicity stunt. Brilliant work, Russell. Brilliant work. Brilliant work. Brilliant work. So, they talk about the entire section headline Moon's involvement appears to have been deleted. And they say Greer's first amended complaint also adds an entire count against Lolcow LLC, which was nowhere to be found in the original complaint. Indeed, the original complaint did not mention Lolcow LLC at all. Yes, remember, he cited as Joshua Moon and Kiwi Farms a website because he thought he could sue the website. And because they're not the same, it's basically an entirely new complaint. And they have the opportunity to raise their objections. So I think that's a very fair argument from Hardin. It's the same argument I would make. This one here, chat, this part 2 is where we just talked about this. You can do a motion for summary judgment. You can make a judgment on the pleadings. In this case, you have a complaint and you have an answer, and the court can assess who's right and wrong depending on how much evidence has been provided here. So there is the ability to do that. There is the ability to do that. And they're just saying they want to treat the defendant's motion and dismiss as a motion for summary judgment on the pleadings. Like I said, there are times when it's a very risky thing, but here for the farms, they're going to win. Russell does not have a case. And they say that Greer offers no practical reason for this court to hesitate in taking that available avenue. Now, does it make sense, guys, why I'm explaining how that works? Does that make sense how you get a judgment on the pleadings versus versus just a motion to dismiss? Angel says it's unstuck. Your internet sucks. Oh, that's a bummer. But did I explain that in a way that makes sense? Okay, it makes sense to you? Okay, good. If it makes sense to some of you guys, that'll be good enough for now. Jim Haglund says it's so stupid. Well, that's how it works. To be Flair says, I can't believe the courts are humorous as long as they have. Well, they have. They have. Now, they point out Russell has not offered any argument why it's inappropriate. His opposition fails entirely to grapple with the alternative request that the defendants want. And it similarly fails to explain how the stipulation will not of necessity prevent Russell from prevailing in any trial. Remember, ECF 201 is Russell agreeing, I have no evidence and I will not present any witnesses. So saying he has nothing. So if he has nothing, that's a pretty easy argument for it. Well, then you have no case. And they're saying if the court doesn't know what it can do summary judgment under Rule 12. And this court has previously held where defendants raise arguments requiring jurisdictional fact-finding, it is appropriate to convert a motion to dismiss into a motion for summary judgment. And, the court can rule on the basis of the pleadings because this court has the power to take notice of its own docket. And that's true. The court has the ability to look back through the record on its own. It's the court's record. It is allowed to reference it. It is allowed to look back through it. It's allowed to do what, make reference to things and use those things. Let's see here. Crystal, what'd you just say? Yeah, it's weird how this works here, but this is how we allow. This is the downside of allowing people to have access to the courts, is that retards can abuse it. There's nothing you could do about that. There's nothing you could do about that. It is what it is. So they say because there's no practical difference in these, they've held that hyper-technical arguments will not prevent dismissal of a non-meritorious claim. In this case, it is 100% non-meritorious. And they also point out that Russell Greer has not rebutted the remaining arguments. And remember, chat, if you don't contest arguments, you're deeming, waiving and that you're not objecting to them at points. So Russell just keeps on claiming that jurisdiction and venue are proper in Utah, but it's not true. Russell does not he fails to address the remaining argument as to embedding or arguments that the complaint is barred by Section 30 of the Communications Decency Act. And if you don't raise stuff, it's deemed waived. You can argue that it's waived. And once again, they just bring up that the farms has not purposely, Lolcow has not availed themselves, neither is Josh, of Utah's jurisdiction. You must find a substantial connection between the defendant's business activities and the state that you're trying to put them in. What is the substantial connection? And merely having the webpage show up in Utah is not enough. And the only contact Russell could point out is that he lived in Utah at some point prior to the suit being filed. And that's not a substantial contact. And ultimately, these actions, the contributory copyright infringement, was undertaken by various website users rather than activities undertaken by Josh or the LLC. The connection with Utah is more attenuated. It's even farther away now. And even if it was foreseeable that Greer might be caused injury, that's not sufficient. And ultimately, his argument to venue is the mirror image of his argument to jurisdiction. Nobody they are not found in Utah for the meaning of the proper venue and copyright cases. Remember, when you want to sue somebody for copyright infringement, you generally have to go to where they live, the district that they're in. That is the standard. And we mentioned this before. You have to go where the person lives. That's why, for example, Destiny, Brogan and Denham's live in LA. Casey Tron lives some out in like Hee-Hawville, Missouri. So he had to serve her in Missouri, and he's suing her in Missouri. You're doing, or not Destiny, Ethan Klein. Jesus Christ. It's easy to confuse those two at times. It's how fucking cringe they are. But Ethan Klein suing Casey Tron, Denham's, and Frogan. Going like that, you have to sue Casey Tron where she lives under the copyright statute. So that is why she's being sued in a separate court. And I do like how Matthew Hard puts us here. Unfortunately for Russell, there is no personal jurisdiction over a Floridian who, Josh is a Florida man, a West Virginia LLC, Westwood, it's like Woo Virginia LLC in Utah. And plaintiff confesses he did not find the defense in any way other than email. So these substantial activities have not occurred. And under Russell Greer's arguments, this court will have jurisdiction over anyone, anywhere. If you send a letter of complaint. Because that's what Russell did. He sent him an email saying, please stop. Now, and since then, Russell failed to address the issues of embedding or the CDA. Now, why did he not do any of this? Well, because Russell's an idiot. And they point out that the decision is fatal to Greer's claims regarding his book. And they say, they argue that in his complaint that below the title, Rusty's Tale is a Google link drive to Greer's book. Somebody created a copy of Greer's book and put it in a Google Drive that is accessible on the forums. They point out that this court has held that if a party displayed an image by merely linking or framing content from the websites, then it had not infringed. And that's critical. That's critical. Especially when someone else puts it there, not even Josh. And they say because the first amended complaint alleges the infringement was hosted on a Google Drive account and that a mere link was on another website, the case here, Great Bowery versus Best Little Sites, precludes findings of infringement. If there was no infringement, there was no contributory infringement by virtue of refusal to remove the link, which is true. If there's no copyright infringement, that's it. So, guys are talking about Casey Tron. We'll get to that. But anyways, this is the point. There's no copyright infringement. The case is over. And yes, one would have expected Russell to address the case. After all, it is an indisputably new case, and it's a very new case. It's a very new case from 2023, since after their case had started. And it wasn't available when the first motion to dismiss was filed. But Greer's briefing is silent. Yeah, and when you don't raise points, I can argue you're conceding them. He declined to address the issues with Section 230 of the CDA. And presumably, if he had any valid arguments why his claims are not barred, or by the embedding doctrine the court recognized in Great Bowery, he would have raised those arguments. The failure to raise these arguments is a waiver of those arguments. And I agree. That's what you make here. Now, is that always, you have to refute the other side. Even if you just say they're bullshit, that's at least an attempt. Russell didn't even do that. So, and ultimately, this was their point that they want to dismiss the complaint in its entirety and with prejudice. They say that should he require Russell to proffer about and basically introduce evidence how he expects to prevail, they want this to happen here because Russell, remember, already said he can't introduce evidence. That's the problem here, and ultimately signed by Matthew Harden. Now this is yeah, guys, look at this. I mean, this is Russell's like look at all the shit he removes. This doesn't seem like too much as you're reading along here. Okay, yeah, he's kind of adding and removing things as we go, but as we start getting into this, look, he takes out like almost a whole page of stuff. A whole page of things get removed. And then we move on for a ways and yeah, I mean, look at what he did here. He takes out an entire chunk again right at the end. And then he starts taking he removes the Communications Decency Act part. Look at all the shit he's removing. Look at all the shit he's removing. Look at all that. Look at all this. Now he's adding and now he's removing a bunch. Yeah, this is not merely just changing it up or adding a fact. Completely gutting his original complaint. Completely gutting it. Let me see here. Where are you guys? Oh, damn, you thought it'd be another 3 weeks before I cover Russell Greer. I told you we'd do this week. I put on the calendar. So we now get to July 1st, 3 weeks ago, chat. Matthew Harden provides his update. Very simple, very concise. Remember, Russell Greer until the end of the month to pay sanctions, and I guess I'll spoil it, chat. Russell Greer has not paid the sanctions awarded to the defendants, which were due months ago. Recent correspondence in which the defendants provided their information for purposes of an ACH transfer, which is also an electronic transfer, is attached as Exhibit A. Greer has not indicated why he's not paid the sanctions electronically. They say, as previously explained, Russell's assertions that they ever rejected an electronic payment or physical check are incorrect. Greer confirmed he could pay via ACH or wire in the most recent email. And they said that this case should be dismissed, and it should if you won't comply with anything repeatedly and willfully. That's it. It should be over. Alternatively, the court can issue a show cause, and they'll say, well, Russell, why did you do it? And they'll go, naughty, naughty. And they'll say, quit goofing up, you little tard boy. I mean, I hate to say it, but if God almighty, how much more do they need to do? How much more do they need to do to this guy? How much more do they need to do to this guy? Jesus. So that is where we are with that. And they bring up the emails. This is from them talking to Russell. And Russell Greer wrote, this is where he starts. We're starting down here, chat. He says, you told me you would only accept a check. I asked, how do you want this? You gave me your address. I even asked you at the meet and confer, and you reiterated a check. And he says, once never gave me an option to pay online. So Matthew Harden then says, okay, what is your way to send electronically money? You still haven't given it to me. And then Matthew Harden says, I'll accept an ACH payment to my trust account or a wire. Let me know if you'd like the wire information. As an expert with both the ABA rules and principles of paralegal practice, you know that I can't use apps like Zelle, PayPal, or Venmo in conjunction with an IOLTA account. Yes. And that becomes an issue at times if you don't have them set up in a way that works. So. And Zelle's I only use Zelle for like giving 2.0 stuff. Like when we to pay bills, like that's how we shuffle money around. So, okay. So, let's see here. So, and ultimately, I know Matthew Harden saying he can't use it, but As long as it's safe and clean, I don't see the problems, and as long as you have it set going to places or how you accept the payment for some of those, I mean, it works. Now, Matthew Harden, says here you could send an ACH payment to the law office of Matthew Harden, PLC through this. You can use routing number, its account number. If your bank sends us a wire instead of an ACH, the account number is the same, but the routing number is different for a wire. And Russell says, okay, I use an e-bank for my checking account, but I could send wires through that, I believe. And Russell said this on June 10th. So 20 days later, he still didn't do it, chat. He still didn't do it. Stacy says, you send me money with Venmo. Well, yes, but that's not attorney-client money. I'm talking about like if a client sends money or things like that. There are times where that happens. So Zelle is preferred by banks. Yes, it is very much. So, but yes, thank you, Stacy. I do appreciate it. And if you guys have sent something in the meantime, I got to check because Zelle, I keep forgetting to check every once in a while. Because unless somebody tells me they sent something Venmo, I never check. I'm on cartel account. That would be so much fun. Okay. Nope, nothing new. I just want to make sure there's nothing new. Okay. You put money in the sandwich. You said DoorDash credits to me. No, don't do that. So Russell Greer did not pay. Shocker, I know, everybody. It's such a shocker. So what did Russell Greer do in response to not paying? Well, he did the next best thing. I'm sure you guys can already imagine what Russell's going to do here. And it's so brilliant. He is the smartest man alive. He is the smartest man alive, chat. He filed his own motion for sanctions. He filed his own motion for sanctions. You're like, what? Why? Anyways, yes, Russell Greer filed his own motion for sanctions under Rule 11 and 28 USC 1927. Yes, Russell is going scorched earth now on Matthew Harden. And I talked to Matthew Harden tonight, and he was inconsolable. Once again, he was staring. He was sitting there. You could hear him. He was crying. He's like, I got a bottle of scotch in one hand, and I got a 1911 in the other, Sean. I don't know if I could do it. That's a Pleitsberging, yes. Job well done. Did you get my Venmo? When did you send me one? Hold on here, and I guess I'll check and see. If you sent it, I don't have anything since June 6th. So no, if you sent me something, I did not get it. Isn't this enough for a vexatious litigant? You'd like to think so. But not yet. But yes, Russell Greer pulls out the Uno Reverso card like a true sophisticate. So what does he do here? So the motion for sanctions happens. And Russell Greer comes forward and files a motion for sanctions. And he says, on May 3rd, plaintiff simply tried continuing the hearing that was set for May 6th. Because he had inadvertently scheduled personal affairs on the same day that he could not reschedule. That's not true. That's another fucking lie. Plaintiff even said that notion in a footnote. He would rather not disclose what the meeting was due to fear of being stalked by the users of Kiwi Farms. Plaintiff even offered evidence that he tried moving the other meeting instead of the court hearing, and the city would not reschedule. He re-includes that evidence. And it says opposing counsel, for some bizarre reason, when you lie to the other side, they have the attorneys would love nothing more than to fuck you over if you lie to them. When one side lies to the other side, like, you're going to motivate them to come after you. Like, lying is just not good in general, but if you give the other side reason to fucking come after you, they will fucking come after you. It says, not only has opposing counsel not stalked plaintiff by engaging in this bizarre request on the Winnemucca, panned opposing counsel is now seeking sanctions over this tiny May continuance motion. It's a lot more than that. But Hardin's actions have inspired the trolls to ramp up their stalking efforts, with people like Luella Duane emailing the plaintiff calling him a retard. It appears this unstable Luella person has also created emails of the two John Does in this case. How do you know that, Russell? Based upon information and belief, how do you know that information here? Many of Josh Moon's users are mentally ill. Being autistic is not a mental illness, Russell. It's incredibly hard to track them down because they hide like cowards. Most of all, Hardin's actions have been vexatious and have delayed the case. Plaintiff seeks sanctions. Now, he goes on to say, what does he have the problems with here? So, firstly, Hardin has multiplied the proceedings. As of July 1st, the file count is now at 345. Yes, that's a lot of fucking filings in the case. Except for his reading motion to dismiss, none of those files have to do with defending copyright infringement. The defendants have chosen instead to nitpick every action of a pro se litigant. Suffer, Russell. Suffer. Suffer. The last 69 motions have been about the defendants complaining about IFP status and a motion to continue the May 6th hearing. Russell, that should tell you something about how bad you're fucking this up. That should tell you something about how destructive your conduct is. You cause these problems. Turning to the second part, Matthew Hardin's actions have been unreasonable because the motion for continuance is denied and plaintiff showed up to the hearing. You still lied. The plaintiff's complaining about IFP fraud was unreasonable because he never even saw the original application because it was a sealed document. Hardin has assumed, and by assuming, he has caused delay. Hardin's actions were also vexatious because they've delayed this case and consumed it in 69 more filings. On May 2nd, when plaintiff filed the motion, the case was at 276. As of the date of this filing, the case is now at 345. And it says, it appears the court has been catching on the constant delays by denying their motions for extension, and so there shouldn't be a reason for this court to sanction the defendants for causing delay after delay. And it says, although the 10th Circuit doesn't require bad faith intent, the plaintiff believes the actions of Matthew Hardin were so deliberate, so he could publish the information through his client Moon onto Kiwi Farms because his client and his users are free speech absolutist based, who believe they are entitled to know every detail of Russell's life. If you didn't make it public, they wouldn't know. Even if the actions weren't of ill intent, to excuse objecting unreasonable conduct by an attorney would be to state that one who acts with an empty head and a pure heart. Oh, Russell's getting clever. He's recycling things. Matthew Hardin says, and then Russell copied and pasted. Aw. Aw, Russell, you're kind of getting there. You're learning. You're learning, Russell. It's so cute. It's so cute, chat. He's trying real hard, like. Yes, keep going till there's 400. Keep going till there's 6 million documents, chat. 6 gorillion. Plaintiff has incurred costs of putting aside limited time. What limited time? Plaintiff has been robbed of sleep by having to answer the motions. Mr. Hardin has caused stress by contacting people connected to plaintiff for his frivolous investigations. Well, is it really frivolous? Plaintiff acknowledges he isn't an attorney, but there's persuasive precedent allowing pro se litigants to seek attorney's fees for vexatious actions of opposing counsel. And every once in a while you can. You know, the court found the appellant's appeal frivolous and awarded the pro se appellee's fees under the rules of appellate procedure. They say agreeing to fees, Second Circuit found that there's suffered considerable vexation. And the same thing should carry over here. There is no precedent in the 10th Circuit that says pro se litigants can't seek damages. The plaintiff seeks $2,000 in fees for the considerable vexation that he has endured. Yes. It's now the Kiwi farms are not the hardship, but he has endured. We shall endure. And that LBJ said, after he's like, we shall endure. We shall overcome. Yes. They're psychologically breaking me, Your Honor. I'm just a retard. They broke my brain. Raptor 4916 says, sorry, 270,000 documents is the best I can do. We can't do 4 million. Hey, you know what? It's a good start. Oh, how much? There's not enough ink or Coke. There's not enough energy to run the paper mill to give you that many documents. We can't cook that much paper pulp. But this is so funny. He's going to ask for a little bit more, and that's a strategy. If I ask for a little bit more, he thinks this is he's like, Phil. It's like, combo breaker. Oh, no, it didn't work. He's like, this is my combo breaker. It's like, did not work. Swing and a miss. Yes, Harden to delay the case by opposing the continuance. Oh. So they want a motion for sanction. They say it's an alternative theory. The plaintiff, if he can't get damages, he requests damages under Rule 11. So, and it's because it's vexatious and frivolous conduct. Now, he cites the Second Circuit's Federal Rules of Appellate Procedure analysis, but you're not in the appellate courts here. They say, although the Second Circuit isn't controlling, the same principle should apply here. Sanctions will be the only way to get defense and their attorney to stop multiplying the caseload. Submitted Russell Greer. I love fun. And then here's Russell's just crying, his like Exhibit A, trying to get the information here. This is more and more stuff here. And I tried to tell them. I wanted to go for my little horror convention. And this is just, it's so cringe. This is not going to help you, Russell. You are so fucked as you should be. But the court won't do anything about it. The court won't do anything about it, chat. And as we go on here, the court did finally make an order this past week. And it's been quiet since the 15th. There was some dead time. It's like aliens. Like, they come at night, mostly. So what do we have here? And if you guys have never seen, this is Pacer. And remember, the amount of damages Russell's asking for, let's just remember, $5.3 million fucking dollars. This is what Russell's asking for. $5.3 million. Fuck this drooling retard. Oh my God, chat. Oh my God, Becky. So. All right, hold on here. What is this thing somebody just sent me? Nothing here. Never mind. Just when Discord always beeps, I'm just double checking. Okay. But Russell wants $5.3 million. Not even slave reparations will pay out $5 million. Yeah. So what did the court order ultimately? So the court ordered here. So here we go, chat. Here's what the court has ordered. We got too far. Here we go. On February 12th. And you know it's bad when they start here. And you know it's bad when they start here. On February 12th, the court issued an order requiring the plaintiff to pay a reduced sanction award of $1,000. Of $1,000. He had $1,000 to pay on February 12th. Ooh. Why did that get so much bigger? That's what she said. On February 12th, he was reduced sanction award of $1,000, down from $5,000. Plaintiff did not comply with the court order. Instead, on May 20th, plaintiff filed a motion to stay. The court denied it. The court ordered Russell to pay no later than June 9th. The court warned Russell if failure to do so would result in additional sanctions. On June 8th, Russell filed a motion for consideration, which the court then denied. The court ordered Russell to pay the award no later than June 30th. The court warned that failure to do so would result in the court ordering plaintiff to pay an additional $500 in sanctions, which it did warn him. And docket number 341. And we can go back up there. He was warned not to do this. He was warned not to fuck around. So they point out that on June 1st, the defendants filed a status report saying Russell didn't pay. Accordingly, the court orders Russell to pay an additional $500 in sanctions for a total of $1,500. Russell must pay on or before Tuesday, August 5th, 2025. Which, chat, that is, hold on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You have 11 days, Russell. Pay up, sucker. 11 days, Russell. The clock is ticking. The clock is ticking, Russell. The defendants are instructed to file a status report after August 5th, indicating whether he's complied. If Russell again fails to meet with the deadline, the court will enter an order to show cause requiring to demonstrate whether the action shouldn't be dismissed. Signed by the judge himself. Well, good luck, Russell. Good luck. Why do I feel the judge isn't even reading his filings? Yeah. I meant July, not June. Okay, well, I thought I said July. Sorry. He had to do it by the end of July. He had to do it by June 30th. He never did it. Now we're in July. So. Jurors should better not let Russell work it off. Funny. Sean been popping those little blue pills? No. Oh. So if Russell doesn't pay, can the judge toss the whole case? Yes. Eventually, if you start ignoring sanctions, yes, ideally the court would dismiss your case. But remember, Russell's a pro se person, and I think the court is worried, and I think I brought this up before. The court is worried if they're too harsh on him, the 10th Circuit could say, you were too mean, he's a tard, you have to give him a chance. And the courts will do that at times. They'll say, you were too hard on pro se plaintiff. So that is why, and remember, this guy's already like, this court, we dismissed it once and it came back anyway. So this is already something that's been a problem. Russell represented himself, and it still got set back. Now, this guy's probably not going to look, the judge isn't going to look into it to see that he got, the mercenary appellate attorneys and shit. But in the meantime, yes, if you aren't going to follow court orders, eventually dismissal becomes the appropriate sanction. We're past that point for Russell. But yes, if he won't pay a second sanction in a row, I would argue yes. We're now 5 months past, it's 5.5 months since February 12th. It happens. It should have been done already. But these courts are leery to punish vexatious litigants, pro se litigants enough, which is a pain in the ass. Because ultimately, remember, we have this idea that people, the courts are, and especially in America, that anybody, even the poorest man, can come seek justice in the court, and we want to protect that. And part of protecting that is allowing fucking idiots like Russell to abuse the system. So, yeah, that this is the problem here. This is the problem at the end of the day. So, yes, it's not going to change right now, but that is where we are. Real quick, we got to catch up on some things here before we get into the Acer Thorn suit. Natasha gifting 10 subs. Thank you, Natasha. The Amateur Iconoclast gifting a sub. And still bringing people in. Right, chat, a big woo out there for everybody. Erica Thorpe says, Clyde was stacking me a sandwich while 2.0 supervised. The ham and cheese was superb. 5 stars. Well, thank you for that. Eric also says, happy birthday, Blogga. Well, thank you. EW Raptor says, this is to help Clyde make a sandwich one day. Thank you. Matt XP says, maybe Russell has an attorney working in the background. Sean! Like, yeah. Like I said, he doesn't have the money. Like, well, I ain't doing it for free. He'd have to pay me. Number 2, I'm too emotionally invested in the case to be fair and honest with him. That would be just proper professionalism. I'm too involved. And most importantly, I'm not licensed in Minnesota. So yeah. But yes, maybe the Baldo Skelly may be correct. Hulk Hogan's ghost says, it better be real American beer, brother. And you need to pour one out to me. Yes, guys, remember, R.I.P. Hulk Hogan. Ozzy Osbourne and Chuck Mangione. We're not counting Malcolm Jamal Warner tonight. He died too far back. Although, is it true he died like swimming? He drowned? I'm like, that's kind of like black guy dying swimming is kind of like, well, that's kind of ironic. Assholes React for 7 months. Thank you guys. Saying we'll be back this Sunday now that 3 Beers is back from Fat Camp. Some great stuff in the show, including the case of the serial butt sniffer. What the fuck? Guy sniffing butts like a dog? Keopatha says, where does Casey Tron lives with her dad? She does. And they tricked her dad to coming to, because she was dodging service. They tricked her dad, allegedly, claiming it was about his disability check. And they served them. And she said that her dad was crying about it. So, yes, it's very fucking funny. Living in a true white trash environment. Ag says, hey, Casey Tron doesn't live in a hoodlum area. I don't know where she lives. I don't really care. Burrange says the pretty menopausal girls said you were wrong about every legal analysis you have ever made ever. Well, now you're just trolling because they're not that retarded. Jefferson Post says, you're on a sanction council for doing the job. Yes. Snap is new member. Thank you, Snap. Chef Clyde has been here for 2 months. He says, look at him. He's got his, like, in chat, it's hard not to talk about it. He's got a little chef's hat on. He looks so cute. Cutest little dog out there. He just got his chef's hat on. It's so, so cute. He says, I'm here for my sandwich money, Dad. I'll pay you when you're older. Schneebly says, I bet Russell will bend the knee and pay Josh in the farms. No disabled person can ever be man enough to defy a court order. That's it, Russell. Are you man enough? Are you man enough to tell the court no? Are you going to stand up for what's right and just? You're not going to let these stalkers win. Are you going to let Matthew Harden stalk you and ruin your life? Are you, Matthew? Are you, Russell? Don't let Matthew Harden push you around. But yes, he couldn't. But thank you, Schneebly. Then EDW after for wide sub. Russell can't pay, yes. Russell can pay. They also said I know nothing about sandwiches, yeah. Everything Sean says about Ricada is wrong. He's not gay. There. How about that? Oh, owned, David. Yes. But guys, remember in chat, you could say HH in respect for Hulk Hogan. Remember, for 1,000 years, his memory will take grasp. Oh. Chuck Mangione died, and Malcolm Jamal Warner got caught in a riptide. Ooh. Riptides are scary, man. I was a kid. I was like 10, 12 years. I was like 10, 12 years old. Out in Delaware, and I got caught in a riptide. And riptides where there's like the beach, and then, well, actually, I'll bring up a picture because it's like, it's. This is a riptide is. It's actually a really good picture of one here. If you don't understand, well, actually, that's way too small. What is this, a riptide for ants? Here we go. So this is what a riptide is, you guys, if you've never seen one before. And what happens is generally there's like a sandbar that goes right here. There's like a sandbar in the underwater, and eventually the tide comes through or something happens, and this gets eaten away, and then the water all just, basically just flies out around the sides. So basically the sandbar gets eaten apart. And that sandbar, then all the water goes backwards. And I had never been in one before. I was like 10, 12 years old. And I was at Delaware. And it doesn't help. The water there is a little chilly, even in the middle of the summertime. It's the Atlantic Ocean, but the water's a little chilly. But yeah, like I was swimming and I was kind of just like floating along and I'm just hanging out. And the lifeguard starts yelling like, "Hey, get back here. Like, get closer. I'm not coming out to get your ass." So I start trying to swim and I'm fucking going nowhere and I'm getting pushed back further and further. And he's like, "Swim." And I'm like, "I am." And I'm like, I'm starting to panic because I'm like, I'm swimming as fucking hard as I can. And that's the thing, chat. You generally with a riptide, like the current's hard enough, you're not going to beat it. And what happens is you drown because you get too exhausted. So and it started hauling me out to the ocean. Like I was like 100 yards out, like instantly. You're like 100 yards out there. Like you get really far out in the fucking water. And they realized pretty quick that I didn't know how to get out of it. They had to come out and get me. And like, I'm starting to get exhausted because like I'm swimming and I'm also freaking out because like, you're not just kind of like, oh, you're going up and down on the water and you're kind of like floating and drifting with the current. You feel like you're getting hauled out to sea. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? I was getting scared. And the lifeguard, he took advantage of the riptide and like basically like rode it out there. And he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm really tired." And he gave me the fucking red floaty thing. And he's like, "Well, here, we're going to go this way." And we swam like 10, 15 yards, I think, to the one side and we got out of it. And I'm like, and we stopped moving. And I was like, huh. And he's like, I feel like I thought I was going to like pass out. Like, I can't keep swimming. And he's like, "All right, we're going to take our time. We're going to go back in." And it took us a little while. But yeah, we timed it right. And then we got to the end and we rode the wave in right. But I got to the beach and I was like, fuck this. I didn't go back. I didn't go back into the water the rest of the week unless I could touch the bottom. I was like, I am not fucking going back out there. Cause I was like, I don't know how the hell that happened. And they were like, "Do you know how to get out?" I'm like, "No, I don't know. I didn't even know what had happened." It's scary shit, guys. You've never been in one. It is scary, scary shit. So did they mistake me for a whale at first? No. Yeah, I didn't know that, but I've never been in a riptide before. So I didn't know that. Now I do. And yeah, I've been in a riptide since then. And I'm like, yeah, swim to the side. Well, Crystal, you don't swim in the sea. We live in South Africa. We don't the only thing you have to worry about like on the Atlantic coast, especially like in Delaware. Because I've been out, you go out there all the time with like the ocean kayaks, the ones you sit on the top of. Like the porpoises would come up next to you. And that was pretty cool when you're kind of just paddling along and the porpoises they don't get crazy like dolphins, but they kind of pop along. It's kind of neat. Kind of neat. Your first mistake is being in Delaware. But you know what the best part about Delaware is? Nobody fucking goes to Delaware. So it's just like people renting beach houses. It's not like a ton of fucking tourists. It's very quiet. It's pretty nice. Yeah, no, porpoise. We don't have great... there are sharks in the Atlantic, but not... that's not a fear. That's not a fear. Yeah. Are you going to tell us how to get out? Yes. As it shows here on the thing, you swim perpendicular to the riptide. You swim parallel to the shore one way or another, and eventually you'll get out of it because the riptides generally are not wide. They're very narrow. Once you go you swim a little bit one way, you swim a little bit the other, you're generally out of them. So, did you at least yell bye-bye? No, but I started waving. I'm like, I can't come back. Help. Because like I was like, you're just going up and down in the water, and you're just like, every time the wave dips down and you come back up, you're like, wow, we're getting really far away. This is a lot farther than I'm comfortable with. Oh. Was Captain Ahab obsessed with killing me? No. I was not that fat as a little kid. I wasn't really fat. Thank you very much. It made you a man. I guess. Did he give me a sandwich to get my energy back up? No. But like, I felt like the biggest retard in the world because I didn't understand what happened. And yes, but did you die? No. But like everybody on the beach, because like when you see the lifeguard diving in the water, like full tilt, like they jumped off they jumped off the chair, grabbed their thing, and like everybody's watched him haul ass into the water. And he had called out on his radio for the other lifeguards, like, hey, I gotta go in. We got like somebody. Because I've been on the beach before when they've had to go get people, and everybody's just watching. And you're sitting on the beach, you're like, ooh, what's going on? And you see that person come back, you're like, oh, they're probably a retard. How do you like don't go in if you can't swim? And you're like, fuck that person. Now, like, I was the retard. So you always figured I would float. I did float. I'm a good swimmer. I've always been a good swimmer. I've enjoyed it. But I was getting out really far and I was like exhausted. I couldn't beat the waves. So it was tough, man. It was scary. It was Delaware. Did Joe Biden save you? No, we were about 10, 15 miles south of where Joe Biden would be. No. He was in Rehoboth Beach, which is like where the real, like that's rich people territory. We were not there. We were further south towards the Maryland border where there's like really nice houses, but it's not like that nice. So riptides are super common here. The main thing they teach you kids about, well, no, you go to the beach once a year, you don't really learn about riptides. They tagged a great white off in Nantucket this week. Wow. I was in a Baywatch episode, yeah. I don't understand sharks in the Atlantic because I'm from Ohio. It's not that. It's just the odds of getting attacked by a shark in the Atlantic are really fucking rare. Like I said, you're more likely to encounter porpoises than you are a shark. Now the buoys they have are drones to drive out to you. Oh, cool. Was the Baywatch song playing while this happened? No. Yes. We've got a van caught in a riptide. There's a couch floating. I mean, you are a good swimmer. You're a white. Well, yes. Yes, my dad was very big on, like, we went to, like, swim lessons and, like, fucking learn. Now, if you fall in the pool, you're good to go. Too old for Joe. Yeah, at that point, I would have been. Used to go to Rhode Island in the summer, yeah. So. The Barracudas might take a nip at you. I don't know. When's the Billy Wagner trial? I don't know because he had some stuff that was getting sorted out. I don't think it's been set yet. I need to check. I really do need to check, Dave. So. White, I thought said you were Italian. Whitish. Yes. The lifeguard was sitting there looking at everybody. We need 50 subs to save this kid from the riptide. Can you hit the goal? Oh. So, yeah, no. It was an interesting thing. Like, I got back and I was just, like, so exhausted and, like, yeah. Yeah, the fourth, not the Fourth Circuit, Fourth District is deciding on the state's interlocutory appeal. Yeah, everything's still kind of up in the air, so we don't know yet. But yeah, it was like I said, it was scary, man. I was like terrified because I was like nothing fucking was working, and like you're like especially when you're in a situation where you're like I could drown. Then you start getting worried because nothing worked. So, all right, guys, that's done. That's done. Moving on from there, we have, interestingly, an update in the Acer Thorn case against the farms, and it's a case for copyright infringement. And this is a case where things, once again, Acer Thorn is suing the farms for copyright infringement, and it's a case that has kind of been derailed. And it's been derailed in a good way. If you guys don't remember, and we'll go back through this. The neat thing is with this case, it's only up to docket number 34, which is very helpful. It's very, very, very helpful. That we're only up to there was only up to docket number 34. And you're like, well, wait, what has happened in this case? Nothing. Nothing has happened in 14 months. In 14 months, nothing has happened. But why? Why hasn't things happened? Well, back in 2024, I think we covered this back then. Hardin and the farms wanted Acer Thorn, David Stebbins, Stabby, that big retarded guy who eats hot dogs, raw hot dog. Well, they're not really raw because they're already cooked, technically. They wanted his IFP as in forma pauperis because Acer Thorn sues the shit out of people, especially in the Ninth Circuit. He's a guy in Arkansas who lives in a mold-filled shit shack, and he goes after everybody. He sues people for everything. Basically, if you make fun of him, he'll try to come after you. I'm surprised he hasn't tried to threaten me with a lawsuit ultimately at this point, because I've talked about him before. Yes, it's the turkey gobbler. Yes, gobble, gobble. Kretosis is like, it looks like I joined at the right time. Yes. And speaking of people being sued by Acer Thorn, Kretosis is one of those people. You also have Imperial Salt. You have other people getting sued by Acer Thorn. Sid Alpha was one of the people for the longest time dealing with them. Yes, the turkey fucker. So the court went ahead and has made some things to happen here. Basically, this hearing is stayed pending determination of his IFP thing from April. And this is April 15th of 2024. Everything is stayed, meaning the court has said pause. Pause. So what happened? Well, he filed an emergency motion to expedite consideration of the stay, and the court's like, no, we're not fucking doing that. We're not letting you access the electronic filing either. He then, in August, went and tried to go to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. He tried to get a writ of mandamus. And there was an opinion for the writ of mandamus. And if you guys haven't seen them, we'll do this real quick. Because it's only actually, hold on. Here, we'll just save this real quick and open it up. This is the writ of mandamus, the writ of mandingo. On a writ of mandamus to the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals. And they handle this and they dispose of it pretty much the way you think they would. The decision is unpublished, but it's per curiam, meaning they all agree it's not binding on the circuit, so he doesn't get to leave his indelible mark as a retard in the case. So they claim that he wants a writ of mandamus because they have unduly delayed in ruling on the applications for IFP and the motions for electronic filing access. They seek an order directing this court to act. The present record does not reveal undue delay. Accordingly, we delay the mandamus petition. And this is something I talked with Hardin about. By filing this, he kind of defeated the clock time. So, yes, he kind of fucked himself over here. So the petition was denied by the Fourth Circuit. That was back in September. Now, they once again deny him electronic filing access. And then in January, I don't know if we covered this yet. But the court ultimately said, because of everything Acerthorn, and we're going to get to this here because it's worth covering. This is worth covering. It's 30 fucking pages, but we're going to blow through this here, chat. Did we cover this before? I could have sworn we did. But I don't know. It's been months and months now. Time flies when you cover what these retards do. But anyways, from January. And why is this so light? There we go. So the proposed findings here, what do they want to do? So they recommend the court deny the IFP application, meaning that he has to pay $405 or it gets dismissed. The problem is Stebbins really doesn't have the money. He's got his government tugboat check. We did do this before? Okay. We did this one before? Okay, good. If you guys remember, I'll leave it alone. But anyways, they go through with the complaint and the application to proceed, and they talk about everything that Russell fucking does. And notice there are so many. Like, this is just page after page after page here. And here's the biggest thing. According to Pacer, it appears that in district courts alone, he's initiated 50 civil lawsuits since 2010 in more than 12 different district courts. In the Western District of Arkansas, where he's a vexatious litigant. In the Western District of Missouri, the Middle District of Florida. And a lot of these are in Arkansas. He sued Walmart. He sued online schools. He's tried to sue legal aid. He's tried to fucking sue everybody. He sued Google, Microsoft. He sued the state of Texas. He sued the Social Security Administration. He sued all kinds of fucking people. He sued the United States a couple of times. He sued gay. He's like, I'm the only one allowed to be gay. It's not a hobby. He's a fucking... Unlike Russell Greer, Stebbins is actually an evil man. Like, Russell's a retard and kind of ineffective. If Stebbins wasn't, like... Stebbins could actually hurt people, and I could see him killing somebody at some point. Like, I could see him, like, murdering people. Totally. Yeah, he sued enough. He's so bad. He sued enough YouTubers that YouTube has intervened to stomp on his asshole a couple of times. So, yeah, he sued Google for like $1 gajillion. He sued the state of Arkansas multiple times. Polano, this is Sid Alpha. He sued Google. Commander Imperial Salt. That's a sad case where he kind of fucked himself over. But he sued in all these different places. He sued fucking everybody. Then we have Stebbins v. Moon. That's where we are. He's also sued Rumble. I mean, he's fucking sued everybody. And they say, despite all this, he has a self-described abysmal win-loss record. And in fact, has never won a case, which is true. And they say his litigation history is far too extensive to cover for purposes of the civil action. That's never good. He has summarized a few things here. He's done 21 civil actions in the Western District of Arkansas where he lives. That's where he lives. He's been declared a vexatious litigant. Ultimately, he was declared a vexatious litigant in Arkansas. So yeah, he is completely insane. And he does this because he's evil. Russell's kind of like gay and cringe. This guy is evil. Crystal says, I blame his lawyers for giving him false hope. No, he doesn't have lawyers. This guy files shit on his own. No. This is, unless you're talking about a different case. No, Acerthorn sues on his own. He sues on his own. Yes, he's also a vexatious litigant in the Northern District of California. Yes, there are multiple courts that have declared him to be a vexatious litigant. Yeah, no, this guy, no, Acerthorn has his own Kiwi Farms thread. His name's David Anthony Stebbins. He's literally an autistic guy. He stabbed his dad before. He collects Social Security checks disability checks, and he sues people. He represents himself. He is pro se as a motherfucker. And he sued his dad after he stabbed him. Like, no, Acer Thorne is fucking evil. This guy is pure evil. And he's smart enough to know what he's doing is wrong. Russell Greer is just retarded. Acer Thorne, like, is smart retarded. Like, he knows what he's doing. And he has a plan. This is an insane rabbit hole I don't think Chad is prepared for. Yeah, it's a rough one. This guy is a rough rabbit hole to go to. Coke Fairy says, is it a crime to be vexatious? No, but no, he's not. But once you get labeled vexatious litigant in one court district, especially in the federal government, you very quickly can get labeled vexatious in other ones. It's very much the idea that when the first one goes, it's the first domino. The problem is that he got declared vexatious, but he had a bunch of cases pending. And what he does every time is something happens, he automatically appeals that decision. So these cases are, a lot of these cases are still open and just dragging on. Because every time something doesn't go his way, he automatically appeals it. And because most of these are in California, he goes to the Ninth Circuit. So yeah, he is he just doesn't stop. He doesn't stop. They must not label him an AK. He hangs out there a lot. Who, Russell or Stebbins? No, he's been labeled vexatious in Arkansas. And Arkansas is very much caught on to his bullshit. So can we not send a drone? I'd love to. Sorry, Chad, I had to wet my whistle. So ultimately, he lost his IFP status. And the court and the magistrate determined he doesn't deserve it because all he does is abuse the system and act like a piece of shit. So that is where we are for Acer Thorne. Yeah, oh, okay, there are a lot of cases. Yeah, this guy's insane. I don't think you get it. Like, and then, like I said, I'm still waiting every time I talk about him for he's going to try to sue me. Because he's a piece of shit and a faggot. I hope he does. But yes, he just keeps doing things. He sued the Chief Justice of the Arkansas Supreme Court. Like, he sues everybody. He is just a complete fucking turd. And then he filed this lawsuit in West Virginia because that's where the farms are. You know, he just does so much. And the big stuff is in the Northern District of California. That's where Kurtosis and all these guys get sued because eventually Google gets involved in these cases. And yes, he's been declared a vexatious litigant in a case called Stebbins versus Google. But the problem is he's got so many cases that are going. Like, all this shit is everything going on with him all the time. He is just a complete piece of shit who abuses the system. Yes, you get a lawsuit, you get a lawsuit, you get a lawsuit. Stebbins versus gay, yes. He's like, I'm the only one who's allowed to be gay. So, Nick has been talking-ish. Are we ignoring that? I mean, like, what do you want? Like, he's going to say, I'm fat, okay? And I'm wrong. Okay? I mean, the guy who claimed my watermark. Like, I don't know. What do you want me to say? Like, I'm sure he talks. He chirps. Chirp, 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 chirp. Like, yeah. Okay. Did you learn nothing from Nick's I'm going to get sued for content arc? Well, I can handle Acer Thorne. So, yeah, like Nick said things. I'm like, okay, like, great. So, I mean, like, that's kind of where we are. Jamie Moody says for 12 months, says, save Sonny Yes. Vitamins and prayer. Yes. Yes. Always save Sonny. Remember Monty. Okay. Monty's not retarded. Acerthorn is retarded. Acer, what? By calling him a faggot, he's going to sue me? So, hubris is a bad thing. You're right, it is. You're right, it is. You're right, it is. I shouldn't. And you're correct. And I tell you guys about hubris all the time. The fates love nothing more than the felt people. So, very good. Very fair point. Fair point. Fair play. Very true. So, but anyways, that's Aethertorn's situation. And if we look at the rest of the court docket here, you guys, after the proposed findings and recommendations from January, Stabby tried to get, he started writing letters saying, well, appoint an attorney for me. He wanted a time to file extensions to the objections. He tried to get a motion for counsel. Did we cover these all? Because they were kind of funny. He also made his own objections. And then ultimately he kept on, he did more objections. He made a supplemental argument to all of this. And they said, ultimately the court denied his appointment of counsel because he tried to get appointed counsel. They denied his extension of time to file proposed findings and recommendations and object to them because the court had already, it's too late, we've already got him. The court has not ruled on what it wants to do yet. The court has already, the court has not ruled on anything, yes. And the court has not ruled on anything yet. So this is all just sitting there. This is all just floating up in the air from March 7th. We still don't know. We still don't know. So Crystal says, if you waive counsel, you allow counsel again. He hasn't waived counsel. In a civil case, you are not entitled to appointed counsel. Now, he can hire counsel at any point in time, and there are very, very rare instances, like the most rare of instances, where in a civil case, the court can appoint an attorney to represent you. But in a civil case, you are not entitled to counsel. If you can't afford a lawyer, you're on your own. Unless you can get like legal aid or a nonprofit to help you. But generally speaking, if you can't afford a lawyer in a civil case, that's it. Because most people can't do this on your own. Oh, says, thank you for that. Yeah, I understand. And I understand it's a little different everywhere in the world. So moving on to here, guys. And this is the interesting part. And this is something I thought you just see what Acerthorn does here. July 21st, he files an amended complaint. Now, some of you might say, well, wait. He filed his first complaint back in March of 2024. So 14 months later, he filed an amended complaint. How does that work? He can't do that. It's too late. It's 14 months. You can't do that now. Because isn't it 21 days? Technically, kind of. You guys are thinking the right things here. But here's the big point. Everything's been stayed. And the farms have not responded to his complaint yet. So Acerthorn's lawsuit has not been responded to by the farms. The farms immediately said, Your Honor, we want you to look at his informa pauperis and we file a motion and dismiss. So that's not a response. So what do you do? Well, technically under the federal civil rules, he can still do this. And how can he do this? Well, it's because it's all under Rule 12 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. Juan says he didn't file for leave to amend. He doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. And this is where I was going to tell you guys. He doesn't need leave to file an amended complaint. And we're going to, it's, you guys would think about this here, but this is actually he did a correct thing. What happened? So time to serve a responsive pleading. Okay. So once you've been served with a complaint, you have 21 days, or, well, in this case, the court has stayed everything. The court stayed everything, and there's never been a summons issued. So nothing has happened. Everything's on pause. And remember, chat, we go back to this. What happened initially? So there was a complaint March 21st. And then Matthew Harden showed up and filed a statement of visiting attorney. Okay. And then they have a motion for the screening of an informa pauperis complaint. And that's as far as we've gotten, guys. There has been no motion to dismiss like this. We're still, look at all this. We're back to the Fourth Circuit shit. There is no motion to dismiss. Nothing has happened. Nothing has happened that would prevent him at this point based on Rule 12. Okay? Because he has the option here of, within 21 days of service to amend. So he can still do it. So he has the opportunity. Like, it's not over for him. Like, that's the interesting part here. Acer Thorn has not done anything wrong. He hasn't done anything wrong here. And it's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting, isn't how that works? Isn't that interesting? You don't need to do anything here. Acer Thorn is correct. So it's all some bullshit. Not really. It's not bullshit. Well, and Juan said 60 days if they waive service of process. That hasn't happened either. So because something hasn't happened, nothing's happened in the case. He has the right to do that. And we get to the right to amend here under Rule 15. And think about this, chat. Because you have 21 days to respond to a complaint. Well, remember, Hardin and them said immediately get to informa pauperis. Court stayed everything. So 21 days doesn't exist right now. Amending as a matter of course. You can amend your pleadings no later than 21 days after serving it. Okay. Or, well, and that's where we are, really. 21 days after service. Well, we're not 21 days after service. So it's 14 months, but nobody's been served. And there hasn't been a response yet. There hasn't been service. Because when we go back here, you don't see service. There's no service on this. There's no service. The farms learned about it, but there has been no service here. Even Russell, though. Russell had shit served properly. Access that business days, it's 21 days. And if it ends on a weekend or a holiday, you go to the next day. Okay, but it's calendar days. So it's just pending. Yeah, everything's up in the air. So technically, if you had filed a complaint and then before you had served it, you filed an amendment, you can do that. Acer Thorn's just in a weird position. because nothing's happened yet. So he can amend at any point before he serves it. The problem is now, you just can't keep amending. So a party may amend its pleading only with the written consent of others in the court's leave. So at some point, he's going to have, can only amend so many times. But there you go. But the court will give leave when justice requires. Yeah, but there you go. There you go. So he's still in the game. He's still in the game. Like I said, some of you might say, well, wait, how does that work? He hasn't, because of his retardation, he's caused problems. So he can do this. This is not something they can cause, like the farms could say is invalid. So I just thought it was interesting to kind of cover that. Fucked by Rule 12 again. Well, no, because nobody responded. Remember, you have 21 days to respond. And then Rule 15 says you can amend within 21 days of service, after service, or before service. So you can always amend. So I just thought it was kind of interesting how they talked about that here. So we move on. Now, this is his first amended complaint filed on Monday. And we're not going to, it's 25 pages, guys. Don't worry. We're going to get through this. He is suing the farms for libel now, a bunch of libel. So it's copyright infringement and libel. So he's doing 6 counts of copyright infringement as well as 7 counts of libel. I'm not changing anything from my original complaint, which was only for copyright infringement. So if the court has already reviewed those sections, it could skip over. He talks stream of consciousness. I mean, so he really is a tard. He says, to assist the court, I will bookend titles of all new sections with triple check asterisk. That's not how you, that's not how this works. I'm a YouTuber and Twitch streamer who goes by the alias Acerthorn. And he includes these links, and it's so goofy. But he says, what is Kiwi Farms? It's a hardship. What is Kiwi Farms isn't just a message board. It's one of the most vile and toxic communities on the entire internet. The entire website is dedicated almost exclusively to harassing, doxing, and cyber stalking their victims. And I loved how he did this before. Barnes & Noble sells books. Playboy produces pornography. WWE produces wrestling. And the farms harass, dox, and cyber stalk people for the user's demented amusement. It's literally what they do. It's literally their entire business model. And he's such a tard. And we've gone over this, chat. I know we have. And he just goes on and on and on and on and on, crying about the farms because they're so evil. Crying about the farms. Let me see here. Some of you guys. They say and he says the farms and yeah, this is the Mother Jones article that it's similar to 4chan and 8chan. Yeah, fuck you, Acerthorn. He also cites Greer versus Moon. And listen how retarded he is. One of the victims who didn't take their shenanigans shitting down, and he thinks this is funny, was Russell Greer. A poor independent songwriter who attempted in vain to have the rights to one of his songs sold to Taylor Swift. He sued Swift, alleging his failure to sell the song was a result of her agent's negligence. And that's really what happened. Crazy people do this to artists all the time. They will send in songs and music, and they specifically have people who screen that stuff out and throw it away because they never want to. Because Taylor Swift, if she ever could be proven to have listened to a song, that person could claim that she ripped them off and sue her for it, if it's even remotely similar to things. So that's why they won't let you do it. That's why yeah. Is Greer an artist? No, he's a fucking loser. While the case was ultimately thrown out, some people at the farms latched onto the lawsuit and spread false allegations that he only sued Taylor Swift because she refused to have sex with him. Well, that's part of it. If she would have said, I'll blow you, he probably would have dismissed the lawsuit. So one thing led to another, and Greer eventually wrote a book attempting to explain his side of the story. Not only did it backfire because the harassment intensified, but the farms reposted his entire book so that users of that site, the primary audience for the book, could read it without paying him. And then he goes on to talk about all the things that happened here. And they talk about Russell suing for copyright infringement. He talks about the win in the 10th Circuit. Ace Returns a big retard. And he says, my interest as a YouTuber. And he basically, he's using old photocopies of his first complaint. He says, I'm a member of the YouTube Partner Program. As am I, buddy. As am I. Which means that whenever advertisers play, I'm eligible to receive a portion of it. And he says, YouTube is an extremely complex algorithm. That is true. And while nobody except the highest ranking employees at YouTube know exactly how the algorithm works, the general consensus is the following factors are the most important. Your click-through rate. Yes, that's very important. Your average view duration. Yes. If you only watch the entirety of a video, but then immediately click on another video from the same channel, those results are far more algorithmic support. And that is true, chat. If you watch all the way through one of my videos and you click into another one, it helps. Engagement, comments, likes, dislikes are all part of it. And he says, everything I do should be geared towards improving my algorithmic support. And he says, the problem is all these things have to happen on YouTube. And he says, my copyrights. So he says in 2023, he contracted with a composer in Argentina by the name of Augusta Navarro to comprise 10 original songs. And they're little shitty, 1 or 2 minute things that he basically got done off Fiverr. And, he had these commissioned and he puts them in his videos to fuck with people. He says, however, he says you can listen to these songs at an unlisted playlist. He says, this is funny though. He tells the court, you will have to pay my channel at least $1 a month to be able to listen to these songs. Maybe once a case gets underway, I could file under seal so the court can hear the songs for free without me giving away free samples of the public. He says they were works for hire. And he says they're supplementary works because they're part of the motion picture that he created. And he also says, I signed a contract written by an American attorney, which this kind of defeated his inform of Pop Eris, that he contracted and commissioned work and he has an attorney. Well, you have to have money for that shit. So, yes. Nothing as good as the songs in the key of CWC. Yes. Nothing as good as a Baldo on his sack. Very true. Very true. Yeah, this is a broke guy wasting people's times and money. Yes. Yes, but he's lied. He did all kinds of garbage here. And he keeps on talking about how he did all this here. He said, Kiwi Farms goes to Supreme Court. It will most likely fail. Here's why. Yeah, and it's true. He said he made a video. He said, I acknowledged. And it's so weird how he fucking does shit here. And he said that in his non-binding layman's opinion, he did not believe the court would grant the farms a writ of certiorari. Yeah, nobody gets writ of certiorari. Everybody fails. I even provided a source from a well-respected Supreme Court law firm to back up my arguments. And guys, if you've never watched the video, he's fucking cringe. He's a retard. And he says, throughout the video, I used 6 of my 10 copyrighted songs, and he just used them in the background to fuck with people. And he says this means that anybody who reposts the video in the entirety infringes on 6 different copyrights, from $4,500 to $900,000 statutory damages worth of copyright infringements. He says, also in the video, you can see I included the message, copyright Acer Thorn, all rights reserved. He says, also noted that all 10 songs all fit the legal definition of unpublished. And that's because they were only ever posted to YouTube. And he says, a work is not considered published simply because it's posted online. And this is where it's funny. He talks about this established by Circular 66, which is something the Copyright Office put out. That's not binding. And more importantly, it's entitled to deference pursuant to Chevron versus Natural Resources Defense Council. Well, guess what happened to that since you filed this? You didn't amend your, you didn't check your complaint, Russell. Chevron's dead. Chevron is dead, buddy. Chevron's dead. So good job there, Acerthorn. But he keeps going here. It keeps going. And he tries to argue that this circular from the Copyright Office to just give some basic information. The fact it's been placed online does not necessarily mean it's been published. In your situation, it has been published. He says streaming is a performance, which in and of itself does not constitute publication. You're right, but you produce pre-published videos or pre-recorded videos. That's publication. So anyways, he just keeps going on and on and on here. He keeps on crying. He keeps on whining. So he talks about the infringements, and he says that at some point, somebody on the farms with the alias Bruno Perelznik posted the entirety of his video about the farms going to the Supreme Court. He said there were no changes and alterations. The only change was reducing the video from 30 frames per second down to only 10. And by Bruno's own admission, he only did that because nothing of his value was a lost result of the change. Now, he's claiming he couldn't point to anything saying it's transformative because there was nothing to even point to. Now, he's claiming because it was on the farms, he couldn't get any watch views because nobody would go watch it, which nobody was going to go watch you, buddy. He says that in 2024, he said a DMCA takedown that same day. And he says, which is only likely 1 to 2 hours since Josh woke up. Co-defendant Null, Joshua Connor Moon, made a post in that thread stating, this is going to be DMCA. To be safe, you have to split it up in the chapters and add commentary to justify each segment being uploaded by fair use. Add some sort of criticism or commentary. Yeah, he's allowed to tell people, make it comply. 3 minutes later, Null posted the entirety of the takedown notice without any information being redacted. Then later on, Null made a post calling me a fat, smug, condescending prick. And he uses the court system to harass people into submission. He seems like a really sad, vacuous old man rotting in his apartment. Very true, very based. And then later on, Bruno reposted the video with some nominal commentary, according to him. Well, he cries because he added a few moments of original content, but he subtracted nothing. Well, he doesn't have to. He commented on everything. And he admits there is some amounts of nominal but token criticism. Okay. Well, anyways, he cries. There was a second DMCA takedown notice. And Null sent this back to him saying, I declare on the penalty of perjury out of good faith belief the complaint of copyright is based on mistaken information, misidentification of material in question, or deliberate misreading of the law. He says this appears to mimic a DMCA counter notification. Yes. Now we get on to the new thing, the 7 counts of libel. So they say Moon, acting in the course of his scope and employment, made a post visible to the public. Okay. As of the time of this writing, the thread has 59,000 views. It's got a lot more than that. I can't imagine it's only that many. But it contains numerous libelous statements about me. Okay. The libelous statements were made out of pure hatred, malice, and spite. This is evidence throughout the post where it gives multiple statements I am not suing over today due to them qualifying as opinions, but nevertheless demonstrate the level of hatred and ill will towards me. Okay, well, cite the actual libel. Calling me a misery golem. Yes, you are. Accusing me of zero value and a negative contribution to society. Based. True. Fact checked by true and honest patriots. Listening. Fuck that fat retard as a reason to intervene in California case between me and Jared Jones. Fact checked is true by patriots. All of it's true. The following 7 statements about you are libelous. He says that he studies law merely to file competent enough litigation for the sake of passing smell test, cost victims thousands of dollars. That's entirely an opinion. This libelous statement is because it misstates my reasons for representing myself in court. He says, I don't file lawsuits pro se because they're frivolous. I file them because I can't afford an attorney. However, prior to any lawsuit, I always consult with an attorney using their free initial consultation to make sure I have a valid, non-frivolous case. I'm sure that's how that fucking goes really well, Russell. I mean, fucking Acerthorn. Is he fat? Yes. Crystal, you've never seen him? Hold on, we'll pull him up. Here we go. We'll pull up Acerthorn. Oh my gosh, we'll have to do this here. Hold on, we'll pull him up. We'll go here, chat. Also, look, you've got this is my public account. So you can't get anything from here, chat. You don't find the real account. We'll go here to Lolcow and Lolcow LLP. And then we go to here. David Stebbins versus Joshua Moon. And from here, we go to David Stebbins' page. David Anthony Stebbins, Acerthorn. And this is Acerthorn. And yes, this is a picture of his apartment. Just full of mold and nastiness. So you wanted to know what he looked like. There you go. Yes, he's bald. Yes. He looks like your twin. I will fight you for that. Peak male living conditions. I mean, yeah, a lot of guys would probably, at least they clean it up a little in there. But he's also known for, he tried to, yeah, this is it. Here's what he's most famously known for. He had left his computer running while acting like a spaz and gobbled hot dogs and punched himself in the head. So here you go.
In the EU.
This is him like punching himself and grunting and spurging out. If you hear all that stuff, Crystal, this is him acting like a crazy man off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
Or I will kill you.
I'll turn it down. I forgot it's a little loud here. I want my share of his SSD money back. Anyways, that we're not going to watch all 4 minutes, so we can't. I can't do it. I'll want to jump off the bridge. Anyways, you know, don't feel bad for him because he may have those moments, but he's really fucking evil in the way he treats people. Like, and he knows he's being evil. So don't feel bad for this man. If it was just him acting like a spurg, fine. But he's truly evil and he knows he's being evil. So Bella says that's uncomfortable. Yeah, well, he's an uncomfortable human being. Is that a turkey being waterboarded? Maybe. His tits are bigger than yours. Well, there you go. So, yes, remember, this guy stabbed his dad. Yes, he stabbed his dad. He says, these are libel per se because it accuses me of crime of moral turpitude. Filing frivolous lawsuits for the sole purpose of harassing people. It's not a crime. It's not crime of moral turpitude. It's a dishonest act. He says, when in fact I do not file and harass people, but seek justice. These people may feel harassed, but that is more of an indicator of their level of self-entitlement than it is in my propensity for manipulating the legal system to harass people. Well, I don't know about that. Bear in mind that the libel in this statement comes from his descriptions of what my personal subjective motive is for taking this course of conduct. Not simply the course of conduct, great spelling there, itself or whatever consequences may or may not result from said conduct. This means that to prevail in this count of libel, that the statement is substantially true. The defendant must prove not just any combination of courts found the actions to be meritless, but that even in my personal subjective point of view, I was only doing it in the first place to harass them. Yeah, no, that's not really going to be it. It's clearly that you're doing this for fucking harassing people. We can infer your intent through your actions, Acer Thorn. We could totally infer your intent through his actions. And he says that even now, as I was only doing this in the first place to harass people, and that even now, as I type out this First Amendment complaint, I am not merely incorrect, but out and out lying. Yes, you are lying. You are out and out lying about what my motives are. By contrast, I can provide evidence of my own motive through my own testimony. The defendants can't. And we can determine, and the court can determine you're not credible. The court can say you're a fucking liar. They say he's also suing Wildcow LLC in its home state to avoid vexatious litigation status in Arkansas. It says this is libelous because once again it misstates the reason for the action. He says, I did not file this lawsuit in West Virginia because I was seeking to bypass anything. I'm pretty sure we all know, yes, you were. I filed it there because that's a district which is general jurisdiction over the co-defendant, Wildcow LLC. Well, you could. Now, this is where there's a lot of speculation here, Stebbins, but yes, it's true. You are a piece of shit. In fact, the defendant's actions in a concurrent case of Greer v. Moon are any indication. Even if I filed the lawsuit in my home state, the defendants would have likely contested jurisdiction and sought that the case transfer to their home district anyway. No, you wouldn't have been allowed to file in fucking Arkansas because you're a fucking vexatious litigant. You're not allowed to file in Arkansas. The federal courts there will not let you do it. No, I love his little fucking footnotes here. He says, remember, there's a big difference between being wrong about something and lying. Well, you are lying. You're a fucking liar. You do this to fuck with people, and we can tell. The courts even know you do this. You abuse and harass people. He says, see above for an explanation how it's materially false. Yeah, that's not really how you do that, but okay. He says that Jared Jones is Stebbins' slave. This is libel per se because it accuses me of committing a crime of moral turpitude, owning slaves. At common law, defaming per se includes imputations of a crime of moral turpitude. Does anybody really think you literally own this guy, even enslaved him? Now, this is a retarded thing Jared Jones did. The service provided was not due to slavery, but to a contract which he freely and voluntarily entered into. Yes, which you have abused to the point that you now have a $1,500 sanction. You're probably going to get all this shit tossed out. They say, this statement without exaggeration forms an indentured servitude contract with Jared Jones and Stebbins. It kind of did. Which is not permitted under the 13th Amendment because he has not been convicted of any crime. Again, this is libel because it accuses me of owning slaves, when in fact it was pursuant to a lawful contract. That doesn't really mean anything because a contract can be rescinded if it's unconscionable. But you guys are all retarded, so the court just lets you guys agree to whatever. Mr. Slave, Jesus Christ. So. Yes, or as Ace Thorn says, Archon and sauce. Tomishi saying, even if he was right about that stupid argument, how's the farms liable for that? Yes, I agree. Who said these things? We don't know. So this is already like a statement of, a claim upon which relief can't be granted. Who said it? Who's liable for it? There's CDA issues. Like, they're not public, like they're not an editor. That he is a misery golem, and he is. That wanted this clause so he could bypass his own status as a vexatious litigant in Arkansas. And he says, this is false. He's like, I asked for this clause in the contract so Joshua Moon would not dox me when I filed the DMCA myself. He says, this is defamatory because it accuses me of manipulating the legal system and in an unethical and even potentially illegal manner. Multiple federal courts have agreed that you do this, sir. Sir. They've agreed that you do it. He says, the misery golem directed his GIMP slave to DMCA us, making us a party directly impacted. And he says, this is false because the farm is already interested in the action. As a place where the original infringement was posted, it was inevitable the farms was going to be involved. This is libelous because it accuses me of dragging them in a dispute they were going to be part of. And more, the misery golem wanted the settlement with the slavery clause so he could bypass his own vexatious litigant status. Yes. He says the demand for withdrawal. He says on July 26th, I sent an email, which that's a little weird because you filed this on the 27th. How does that work, Acer Thorn? The dates don't add up. Huh? We got this date right here. Then we got this date, and they don't add up. Huh. It's a little weird. That's a little weird there, buddy. I don't get it. He says, I sent an email address to legal at Kiwi Farms, which again is where Josh and the farms can be reached, explaining these statements are libelous and demanding that he remove them and publish a correction. Well, who said them? Who said them? You haven't said anybody said them. Are you implying Nola said all these? You haven't said who said them yet. Are you saying this is all Moon? I don't know. Because you haven't said where is the link to this comment. You just show this. Okay. Like which page, what post number? Can we actually see the post? I still haven't seen it yet. Rather than comply with these demands, he instead proceeded to simply post a verbatim copy of the email as an attachment to his libelous post. You can see this attachment by going to the link provided in 52 above. Well, we can't click on the links, retard. And scrolling to the end of his opening post. Notice he's mailing shit in, so you can't click on things. He's talking in his fucking Word document. I know it's in the thread Null posted, but he doesn't say this clearly. He doesn't say this, Anderson Cooper. I'm not going to help him. I'm going to point out that he's got fucking problems. And he says, right-clicking underneath, he says, discuss, you can see a thumbnail of the retraction demand. He says, therefore, I've complied substantially with any laws West Virginia may have about demanding retraction. How do you know? How do you know? Because, for example, in Florida, it's 5 days. That's why Trump's lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal is going to fail. How do you know? Because you clearly, your timelines don't match. How do you know how much time you need? It's not just merely sending a request, but you have to, serve notice. And right now, you serve notice in the future, so that's not valid if that is a problem. And then he goes on to his legal arguments of copyright infringement. Well, we already know those are there. He's claiming that this just goes on and on and on, chat. It's so fucking awful. But he's amended it to include these libelous statements. And he says libel. Now, he starts laying these out like it's a motion, which is really weird. And he starts talking about defamation here, but you're calling it libel. You could have just called it defamation, but okay. They say that, Josh Moon clearly made the 7 defamatory statements in question. I still don't think he did. He says you got to do it as they have to be defamatory. They're non-privileged to a third party. They're false. They reference a plaintiff and at least negligence on the part of the publisher. And there's a resulting injury. Well, what's your injury? That's what I want to know. What's your injury? Because let's see here. Element 6 does not need to be played because the majority of these are he's going defamation per se, accusing me of crimes of moral turpitude, such as slave ownership, harassment, and obstructing of justice. And notice he just cites a random fucking law, like a fucking law firm. Okay. And he says the possible defense of rhetorical hyperbole. It's so weird he includes all this shit in his complaint. And he says that, you could try to claim it's hyperbole. Moreover, unlike the defense of substantial truth, this is a defense a court could find in theory of its own accord. He says, first of all, in libel number 4, Moon clearly stated his accusation against me was without exaggeration. Those were his exact words. So in regards to number 4, he loses. Is that really? Yes. Remember, chat, this is a retard who doesn't understand what he's dealing with. So. Oh. Yeah. Jane and John Doe for £5 sterling. The King sterling. Says, reading that Acer Thorne wanted the court to pay $1 to see his evidence was something magical to behold. Yes. Each time, $1 each time. So he goes through all this here. He claims that barring to that, it's not enough that it be exaggerated. It requires the defendant's statements are so ludicrous to be absurd on their face. And they could not reasonably be interpreted as stating factual facts. Well, nobody really believes you enslaved the guy. So yes, it would qualify. And he goes on and on and on here. So he wants declaratory judgment. And yeah, this is the update. For the libel, I request $100 per day for each of the statements remaining unpublished. This total comes out to $700 a day. He says, I wish to invoke the 8th Circuit precedent of Troba v. Hall. In that prison segregation case, the plaintiff was awarded only $1 in nominal damages. And when they found out the defendants had unconstitutionally put him in solitary confinement for 3 days for exercising his First Amendment rights to file grievances, he says the 8th Circuit affirmed the finding of liability but overturned the award of nominal damages. It says, when this happens and kept up perpetually, the district court should award compensatory damages of $100 for every day the tortious behavior was kept. Notice, this retard is claiming that, yes, he's spellcasting. Basically, Acer Thorne's argument here is, because a guy was illegally placed into solitary confinement by assholes at the prison, I have the right to the same level of damages as a guy who was illegally placed in solitary confinement. That's his argument. That's this retard's argument. Yes. Yes, a First Amendment retaliation. Yes. People calling you a misery golem and a man who files lawsuits to abuse and harass people is the same as locking someone up in fucking solitary confinement. It's the same level of problems. And notice, he's like, for the purpose of this case, I wish to invoke it. That's not how that works. I will refer to these $100 per day as tortious conduct damages as Troba damages. Well, that's not how that works. He's making fetch a thing, Chad. He's trying to make fetch a thing. He says, since there are 7 counts of libel, I shall receive $700 per day. Since the libel was published on July 25th, 2024, that is the date from which $100 a day per libel count should begin accruing. As of the time of this writing, July 11th, the 7 libels will have been published for 351 days. This means, assuming the libel is taken down on July 11th, 2025, he should owe me damages of $245,700. By July 25th, the 1-year anniversary, he will accumulate $255,500. Motherfucker, how many hot dogs are you going to eat for $255,000? Yes, he shoots for the fucking moon, but God almighty. Like, this is just the fucking, like I said, he's an evil person. He's purely fucking evil, and he knows he's evil. He says, and bear in mind, these statements were undoubtedly made out of pure hatred, spite, and malice towards me. Yeah, because you're fucking insufferable and no one likes you. Yes, we fucking hate you. You're a horrible person. Therefore, punitive damages are appropriate. And they're not covered by the Trobaugh damage. Once again, trying to make fetch happen. Therefore, I request 3 times the Trobaugh damages. Well, that's also known as treble damages, but okay. The amount the judge in Liebeck versus McDonald's reduced the punitive damages award down to. Therefore, Moon goes 1 year without retracting the libel statement. She should sue me for the libel to the tune of $1.1 million. Guys, remember, Liebeck versus McDonald's is the hot coffee case. And yes, a case where McDonald's knew that they were serving coffee at 109. Remember, guys, McDonald's served their coffee at 190 degrees. 190 degrees. If you threw coffee at somebody at 190 degrees, you could burn them. You could disfigure them. If you tried to throw coffee at somebody that's 190 degrees, remember that cop in Illinois thought hot, like boiling water was going to get thrown on him? That's serious bodily injury. You could fucking shoot a person for throwing that on you. It burned her so bad she had 3rd-degree burns on her pussy. It burned her crotch up. And because she's wearing sweatpants, the fucking coffee soaked in and stayed there and got really hot and burned up her hooch really bad. The lady couldn't walk. Yeah, she had to get skin grafts on her crotch. And McDonald's knew the coffee was so hot, they had multiple accidents reported to them of people getting severe burns and disfiguring injuries. There was a case where a kid had gotten coffee spilled on him in a store, and they knew it was dangerous, and they never fixed it. They had repeatedly been warned. So, yeah, you are not fucking Stella Liebeck. As much as I want somebody to throw 190-degree coffee on you, you are not Stella Liebeck. He says, however, for what it's worth, if Josh were to retract the statements immediately after this complaint reaches the courthouse and publish adequate corrective post, like by saying what? This part is imperative to demonstrate good faith and therefore mitigating damages. Well, what would be good enough? That may constitute proof he's acting in good faith all along, which would not only stop the Trobaugh damages, doesn't work, not real, may even lessen the punitive damages, even for days which have already elapsed. I have printed and preserved a copy of the post linked in the number 52 above, so taking it down will not stop us from introducing the post and evidence. Have fun introducing that. How are you going to authenticate it, Acer Thorn? How are you going to authenticate that shit, homie? Like, have fun when a real fucking attorney's there. You print it off. How do we know that's legit? How do we know you haven't fucked with it? Good job, Bubs. Good jobs. Have fun introducing shit. Good job on that one. And I know Noel's got to take it down anyway, but have fun introducing fucking evidence, you fucking tard. He says he wants injunctive relief. He wants the post removed. He wants to permanently terminate the guy's account with Kiwi Farms. Okay, so he can rejoin the site. Like, there's nothing to stop people. Take whatever measure necessary to prevent future infringement and to prevent Bruno from rejoining the site. How would they prevent that? He can sign up different ways. He could sign up through the VPNs and all kinds of shit. There's nothing to stop him. There's nothing to stop him. He can ask for whatever he wants. Whether or not he's going to get it or is even possible doesn't work. And he says, as for the libel claims, I want an injunction ordering the defendants to remove their statements from the post, or only alternative, take the post down entirely, as the only purpose it was originally meant to serve. Debating whether or not to honor the takedown has since ended. And he says, in addition, I also ask for whatever relief the court in its discretion believes necessary to make me whole. And he says, therefore, I respectfully pray the court will enter my judgment, cost a word in for any other relief. Fucking schizo signing right there. And that's where Stabby lives. He's already been doxxed. Don't feel bad for him. Most farmers use a VPN. Yeah, but you know what? Like, that's why some of you guys are like, I don't want to get doxxed. I'm like, I know you guys don't, but like, that's why I have a public account. It's like, it's easy. I don't have to fucking worry about it anymore when I post certain things. So he doesn't live in his mom's basement. He lives in his own apartment, and he gets his social security check. He lives in squalor all by himself. You underestimate him too much. Crystal says that whole Riptide story was a fun fail of information. Yes. Alex says, have you played Gunner Heat PC yet? Yeah, I tried a little bit. It's kicked my ass. The learning curve on that's a little hard, but I'm going to get a capture card. We might start streaming that like as a members only thing here or on Twitch, but I would like to start playing that more. It's really cool, and there's a campaign now. I did see that. Yes. Kitchen Knife Rescue, how you doing, man? It's like a firefighter saying the Q word. Fate is a fickle mistress, yes. And Bree says, 'twas hubris led me here. Yes, very true. Before the Grave says, did you ever cover that crazy teacher from Ohio under crash out at sentencing? I need to get that done. I partially recorded something. I need to finish it because it is fucking hilarious. She got a couple days in jail and she screams and cries like she got years in prison. So, the Crazy Cat for $4.99 says, hail Comicsgate. Sup, big boy? You mess with Comicsgate. Hope nobody tag teams YouTube on you. You made powerful enemies. Yeah, like, okay. Har. Crystal gifted 5 subs. And Kritosis gifting 10 subs. Big fucking support tonight, you guys. Let's go. Just fucking crushing it. And you know, I mean, the way Acer Thorn does this, you'd like to think like this guy's got to be smoking crack, but no. He literally is just retarded and malicious. So, just completely fucking awful as a human being. So, but guys, with those memberships, when you do that, chat, you are turning these grays into greens, and you are crushing them under your boot heel, just like Clyde will show you how to do it. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing every day. What you're doing every day. I only lurk on the farms. Yes. Our taxes let him do this. That is correct. How old is Acer Thorn? He's like 40 something. Yes, he's an SSI baby. Yeah. He gets his SSI and he lives in this, hovel of an apartment. Yes. In a few cases, he's asked for people to be fined or imprisoned indefinitely. He's asked for all kinds of crazy shit. And Jared Jones is one of the people who agreed to his retarded terms. So the U.S. government is subsidizing retards to harass people. Pretty much. People like Acer Thorn are subsidized by the U.S. government, yes. So, Alex says, I agree, Gunner Heat PC is damn hard. Never heard that, yes. Augusto says, Crazy Cat has been going on a tear on all the live streams on whose. Yeah, smoking crack, nah, just eating hot dogs, yes. Oh, Josh's going to Keno Casino tomorrow night? Yeah, I remember them saying that. I forgot about that. Yeah, Acer Thorn has a cocktail mental. Oh, he does. He's like a cluster B, all kinds of shit, and he's just an evil person, too, to top it off. He's just a fucking piece of shit. Complete piece of shit. I'm going to take a look at that later. Oh, yeah, let's see. Here we are. Model stream later? Yeah, we are going to do a little bit of model work here coming up in a minute, chat. C cluster here, yeah. Oh, well. Josh is going to spurg about Gator for 3 hours and try to make people forget he likes Lolly and Shota. I don't know what the hell they're talking about tomorrow. So. Don't know. But guys, that's kind of the update right now. Yeah, the Acer Thorn thing was kind of a little add-on at the end. Sean found the good train porn for later. Thanks, Edward. Yes. Only the best train porn. The best train porn is when it goes in and out of tunnels and you just rewind it back and forth, back and forth. Oh, it's apparently a crushing gator stream. Okay, well. Enter the name here, Bohemian says. Would it be a defense if you call him a tard that he calls himself that as his name? Maybe. Oh, I'm still sewing buttons on to craft away. Wow. Well, have fun sewing buttons. Hope you're liking to sew buttons. Why don't they try to lock that piece of something? I don't know. So only the best foamer turn-ons for the foamer stream. Yes. Well, I'll save those. Maybe we'll do the train driver game at some point. I know that's a game out there. I'll let you guys make fun of me even more. So, all right, guys. I think we're kind of all caught up. Andrea's stream earlier was Amazeballs. What was she streaming? Brian Koberger? Hi. By the way, hi, Hella. Master Breadloaf says foamer. Yes. Let's see. I sent that cat clip to Lord Raptor Jesus, Sean. Ho ho. I haven't heard those guys. Like Wiggle hasn't done anything lately. I haven't heard anything with Crapcast. So I have a funeral later and buttons on my shirt pops. I have to replace them. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. My thoughts go out to the deceased. She did an analysis on everything happened with Brian Koberger. You still don't think Brian Koberger did it? Well, Brian Koberger thinks he did it. So, is Jim still alive? I think so. I mean, sounds like it. Oh, I don't know what happened to Wiggle, but Raptor's been streaming. Oh, I'll have to find it. I guess I thought I was subscribed to him. Hold on, let me check here. He's under Lord Raptor Jesus, isn't he? Yeah, he is. Yeah, I'm subscribed to him. Why haven't I seen him before? Like it still doesn't show me when he's been live yesterday. What the hell? Huh, that's sad. I've been subscribed and he's been going live. I didn't think about him. So oh shit, they I forgot they did that. They escorted that cop today. Sorry, in Cleveland, a couple cops got shot up and one of them died. So RootTube has been randomly unsubscribing people, yeah. Angry Cops did a good video on the Brian Koberger case and the media around it. Huh. Apparently, his Shopify down. People think he passed. No, I mean, I think part of the issue was it costs a lot of money to have a ton of shit up if nobody buys it. And they were probably retooling Shopify. If I had to guess. Is Flamenco still alive? As far as I know, yeah. As far as I know, yes. So it's interesting to me have done that and just did it to avoid the death penalty. Rather far-fetched as possible. Yeah, but at that point, he would have been he would have tried to get an Alford plea. Which I don't know if they asked for one or not. So. Oh, I was streaming the other day and you only saw it on the front page? Well, that sucks. Yeah. The state said no Alford plea. I know, but they may have asked for one. But who knows? So, we don't really know, chat. We don't really know. Dane Pesos became a Baldo washer? Wow. It's interesting how the battle lines are drawn. It's like Game of Thrones level shit here, guys, at times. So, all right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. Who are we rooting for in the Thailand versus Cambodia border conflict? Thailand, I mean, I don't really know. They're fighting over just a little region. But that's what happens. All these countries, there's ethnic lines and there's borders, and they don't always match up. And there's footage of, like a couple of fucking grads being used on both sides. Like, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be like a little board. It's kind of like what was going on with Rwanda and the Congo. They had a little bit of a border clash. And, it's just border clashes happen from time to time. So, Thailand, cheer for the legal mindset mercenary corps. Yeah, well, that's the problem is, though, Thailand has had a bunch of... Thailand's not the most stable country in the world. They've had a lot of military coups. So, yeah. Thailand for the win, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Like, they're going at it. We'll see what happens. It's going to be low intensity. I mean, the only issue is when you look at the map of... Hold on here. I mean, like, there's some pretty interesting footage coming out. Like, there's the Thailand. There's like a 7-Eleven in Thailand that got fucking hit with a grad strike. And I was like, I didn't know there were 7-Elevens in Thailand. But watching a 7-Eleven get hit with a grad strike, you're like, whoa, buddy. And real quick, chat, if you guys didn't realize, like, this is... for those of you who are... Geography is not your forte. Thailand and Cambodia share a fairly long involved border right here. So Thailand and Cambodia have a border right there. All right. And then there's a bigger issue for Thailand. It has a border with Burma, which is in the middle of a massive civil war that goes all the way along here. So Thailand's got problems on both sides. And then it's got Laos up here, and Laos is just full of fucking crazy communists. They're just crazy over there. The only, and they're surrounded by Laos. On the Laotian border is like all the way here. Like, they're surrounded by crazy. So, it's not good. Burma's fucked. Yeah, well, Burma's got problems. So. Andrew Cooper said, my Japanese or Chinese? I don't know. I'm neither. I guess somebody in Pretty Antisocial called me an Indian, and I was like, wow, that was really fucking retarded. But yeah. But yes, that is why Cambodia is screwing with them. Yes. Thailand has a big issue right now with Burmese refugees coming over, and there's instability on their one side. So Cambodia is probably taking advantage of this. That's kind of what it looks like. I'm not 100% sure, though, because I don't know the conflict 100%. So, Kitchen Knife Rescue says, what ocean? No, Laotian. That's how you say the Laotians. You don't say Laotians, it's the Laotians. You don't know if I'm Indian, Native American. No, my family killed a lot of Indians, though. So yeah, somebody called me like, it's a fucking Indian. And I was like, somebody sent me a clip at like a screenshot of the super chat. And I was like, what the fuck? It's not even trying hard. Like, he's like a fucking Indian. And I was like, okay. So, you are not the ocean. Oh, they didn't hear that. So I haven't seen the King of the Hill reboot yet. Not going to watch it, probably. I want to keep my visions of my nostalgia intact. So, somebody on Pretty Antisocial said that, I guess. And I was like, that's what I think it was. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, Sean Singh, yes. Sean Patel. Yeah, there's a lot of guys named Sean Martin. The Martins, a traditional Indian clan. Oh, so. All right, chat. With that said, we're going to wrap this up. Let's get ready to do some stuff. We are going to get, because we already did one of these, so we already have the experience. We're going to get this whole fucking bike done tonight. We're going to do the second one. get it done, paint them, and we're going to paint them up. That's the plan for tonight. So we'll do that. The Untouchable cast, yes. Yes. So, all right, chat. So that said, thank you guys so much for your time, for being here. We will do more as more retardation unfolds, but I think that was important to get these caught up. No, the figures don't fit on the motorcycles. They're not the right size. But we'll incorporate them with the howitzer model that we got. So we'll do that. Yes, imagine the traffic jam me pooping in the road would cause. Yes. And imagine if I took my picture next to the train, I'd derail the fucking train. So, the unwipeable. Yes, sir. I just chat, no more super chats. Send me your super chats in the form of Google Play cards only. Get to the store right now. So, anyways, guys, with that said, take care of yourselves. And remember, until next time, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. Unless you're Russell Greer, you're guilty of being a retard. Acer Thorn, you're guilty of being a piece of shit. So, with that said, chat, good night. And I will see you guys shortly over on the model channel here. And do I have a link to that? I don't know. Mods, are you in here? Can you throw something down for that? The model channel. Erica's just wait, how many cards? What do you mean cards? What do you mean cards? I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, how many cards? All of them. I need 5 $500 gift Target Google Play cards. I need 5 of them right now from each one of you. Or have to report you to the Social Security Administration. Oh. Oh, chat, you know what? I will get you guys just going over here. Hold on here. We'll do this. Oh, it's 12 o'clock already? So we'll do 12:05. All right, chat, I think it loaded. Come on. It's a problem with fucking StreamYard sometimes. It sucks. All right. Chat, we're almost at 26,400 subs. We're going all the way, chat. All the way to 100K. So, yes. No, why did you redeem? I know. So go get me my Google cards. Oh, I know they're doing that. They need relevance. They need something to fight. Because there's nothing to fight, then people ask what's going on, what's happening. Because if they can't look outwards, they have to look inwards. No, I totally get it. I understand. I understand the game. That's how it works. That's how it works. And it's even funnier because I'm not a comic book guy. Never read a comic book. So. All right, there we go. I think it worked. All right. Okay. You send so many body cam links, you can't even send them here, yes. Work campaign has your back. Thank you, Neo. Oh. Hella says you're not appreciated. Oh. I've been a bit busy writing you Earls all night. Well, there you go. Yes, Hail Kit Bogus, Scammer Payback, and all the other bait scam baiters. Well, I like the guys who they end up using the team viewer to freeze out their computer and start fucking around with it. So you got to say it in broken Hindi while trying not to shit yourself. Don't tell me what to do, you benchode. Oh, chat. So I will see you guys. I'm going to direct you over to the video or to the model stuff. I'll see you guys in a minute. See you there, chat.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes. Esoteric works and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws. Tips on hunting and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops. Even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. But please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy